Hello, everyone, and welcome. Oh, God, I hit the mic. To another episode of the Pro Crastinators podcast. Die, Mike, die. I'm the bestest boy with the most microphone skills. And we've got Ben Saint is here.
Nate, why did our sister not show up on the show?
Grace! Grace, come here!
Grace!
I don't know. It's too late. Wait,
fuck.
Okay, introduce yourselves. Let me see if I can get her.
Get her.
I'm
Grace,
hypocrite. Who cares?
Yeah? What's your deal?
Oh, I'm just one of those people who don't do anything.
Oh, my favorite.
All right, grand debut. Here's Grace. Say some words.
You're a dog. You're a dog, and I'm sick of it.
There's my sister, guys. That's Grace.
Mine too, idiot.
Bye, Grace, see you later.
Don't appropriate Ben's sister.
Yeah. Well, that's a meme now.
How nice. Yeah, that is good. Way to go, Grace. I assume the rest of you introduced yourself. You're all the same shit. Digi. Yeah.
I'm just glad there's only 4 of us because it means I make more money.
No,
That's
don't talk
true.
inside baseball. Don't pull the curtain back and kill the magic.
Inside baseball. Inside basketball.
The only people that information is relevant to, that I do in fact try not to mention, is the other members of this podcast, so as to not overly encourage them to show up on the off chance I can make more money.
Our system of distributing
Mm-hmm.
our assets is fundamentally broken.
I think it's perfectly reasonable. What's wrong with it?
It's weird. Isn't it weird that you get more for being on an episode if there's less people on it?
Well, you have to do more work. You have to assert yourself more.
It doesn't feel like more work.
Well, if somebody shows up to every show, it means they were dedicated to making that dosh,
I mean,
yeah, the real thing that you have to do is just get there and start recording.
This is why capitalism doesn't work. That's all I'm saying.
That's a silly point. There's, I will grant you though, Ben. I mean, simply having the profit motive, like that alone, totally changed the dynamic of any given relationship. So that's very true.
I got to imagine that there's somebody who listens to this show with a stop clock that says on it minutes till Ben mentions capitalism.
Well, you guess what?
Started the episode. They slapped it just now and went, God damn, new record.
Your job is done. You can go. You can
rest now, weary traveler.
Yeah.
Speaking of capitalism, just a little bit. I've been watching videos of the left or whatever direction.
Oh my god!
Let's
fucking chat about it.
I've been watching a lot of Thought Slime. I've been watching a bit of ContraPoints as well. And I like them because they're funny, and also the things they have a humorous spin on the things they're saying, which makes it more palatable and easy for me to get into it. So it's
ContraPoints is very theatrical, which is it's fine.
If you're a drama kid, I'm sure it appeals.
I am fine with it. I wouldn't say that it's I mean, I get it's a little much. I get feeling like it's a little over theatrical. This is kind of how I feel about Philosophy Tube and how he's the way that he mugs the camera is a little weird sometimes.
What you said, the incredible sensuality of the videos can be a little
really
much.
Sensual in the way that he
I
makes direct eye contact with the viewer and licks his lips and stuff.
Yeah, that sort of stuff. I'm not so much I think I've seen one of his videos and he seemed. I just looked at him and was like, yeah.
I don't watch all of. Okay, well he has a goatee and I hate goatees. That's the worst thing about him by far.
Fair enough. I hear he's a real philosopher or something. He has actual credentials. Philosophy Tube. Is that true?
Is there such thing as credentials in philosophy?
Well, like a PhD and is a doctor or something. I don't know.
There's no way he has a PhD.
I could be wrong. I
would believe he probably has some kind of qualifications. I don't know what they are.
Fair
but he's got my favorite Philosophy Tube is a little series he's got called "What Was Liberalism," and it's very informative. That's a really good. That's a really good one.
I feel very informed. I just about things in general, seeing it from the other side, because I grew up on things like The Amazing Atheist, who is still not that bad. He's just sort of obnoxious in the way he approaches things, but he's very more thoughtful than you would imagine if you don't really watch him that much. But then there's like all that whole crowd of like amazing atheists, like copycat people who are the same video every time.
You mean
The skeptic community.
The skeptic community. Yeah, and I was just like, geez, this is all really boring, and who cares?
Oh, geez, Rick, there's a lot of atheists on YouTube, and it's upsetting me.
Morty, don't you know God isn't real, Morty? Blah. Blah. What are you, fucking stupid, Morty?
Yeah, but then
actual dialogue from season 4.
And I don't think women should be in video games. Blah.
but then there's
such truth
Thought
bombs.
Slime. It's just sort of like he's just talking about things that they wouldn't talk about, what anarchism actually means. I mean, I know like words mean things to different people, but it's just interesting to see from different perspectives.
It is.
There's nothing wrong with getting another perspective. I totally agree.
Yeah.
It is, right? I mean, can I ask? Okay, where did you jump in? Did you jump in with Thought Slime, or did you jump in with ContraPoints and migrate to Thought Slime?
I watched a ContraPoints video when it was recommended to me like months ago, and I was sort of taken aback by the way it looked. I was like, what? I don't get it.
What's going on here?
It's a little too much for me. It's a little too much for my little pea brain here.
Oh,
so I don't think
is my favorite thing about ContraPoints.
It was just sort of like, wow, this is like the big like my first thought was this is a trans woman, and therefore I don't know whether the content will be good. Just because
what does that mean?
No, yeah, I mean,
relax.
I got
I want to know what that means.
I got like prejudices because like, oh, social justice warrior, trans community, they're the same thing, and so if there's somebody popular, it's probably just because they're trans and not because they have interesting things to say. But I stuck out the video because I was so, I guess, enthralled by like what was going on that I was just like, oh wait, they're sensible and they're like they're not. They're not like preaching to the choir. They are talking about things that I don't hear people talk about, and it's really good.
I don't know if I would say they're not preaching to the choir.
Well,
I mean,
not every video is the same video.
Everyone who does commentary, by virtue of the fact that they have, gained an audience through the things they say, is, like obviously they're preaching to the people that have subscribed to them and are therefore sort of self-identifying them as the choir.
Only because I used to be a fan of ContraPoints, and in the early days she was a lot edgier and a lot more willing to sort of go against the grain of like what's popular in that movement. And I think it kind of became that as she became like a bigger voice, more and more people were looking to her as like, oh, you are like our representative spokesperson, so you have to be more careful about what you say, and you have to, like basically play by the book a little bit more. And it seems like she very much like internalized that and kind of took it like, okay, I do have to take more responsibility and be more like that, and that just ruined it for me.
It's a very typical phenomenon for people.
I mean,
like
what
that.
do you mean?
Not that I know.
Like what changed? I'm curious because I haven't watched all of ContraPoint, so like I might not know.
It would
how
be
it evolved.
easy to understand if you watch a lot of the earlier videos, because in the early days, like ContraPoints was just a lot more. I guess I would say nihilistic about it all, or just like she didn't care so much about being politically correct with the ideas. It was like presenting the arguments in a way that was charitable to people who don't think you have to communicate this particular way, that you have to like watch your words and really like walk on eggshells through your explanation.
I know she used to go on 4chan. I don't know if that stopped or if she's changed her approach, but I mean, anyone who does that. I remember when, one video she said she used to go there to hear, like, I forget which video this was. She would go to, like, the LGBTQ board, I think, and would, like, post her, like, how's my transition going? Specifically to receive the kind of incredibly harsh feedback you'll never get from, like, your friends and allies. You'll only get from people who just don't give a shit about you.
Because that's the thing. ContraPoints is kind of like a hard ass and kind of a like, which is what I like about those early videos, is that they come off as somebody who's very critical of themselves and their own side. Like somebody who.
I always enjoy that.
I mean, I think she's. I think like she seems pretty willing to, like, she doesn't really seem to be that, like, towing the party line. Like, I feel like she's pretty willing to come out with, like, an unpopular take on, like, you know, something like what does it mean to be trans, for example.
I'm sure she is, and I haven't been keeping up with her content for a long time, because what bogged it down for me was just the sheer amount of like over explaining the language, or like trying to basically compromise, what's the word I'm looking for? It's like she babies
Syncness?
you through the videos in a way that she didn't used to. That,
Oh,
like,
do you think that's like a sort of a, like, as her videos got viewed by more and more people, she had to, like, simplify them, like, make them more accessible?
yes, and make them more accessible, and also less less potentially triggering, we'll say. Like, that she might have made an edgy joke before and not explained it, and now she feels like, I have to explain every single thing I say on the off chance that somebody's going to be offended by the way I've chosen to phrase it, which is exactly what my problem with that community is in the first place. That, like, people are just so soft that they need to have everything broken down and explained in depth. And it's like, you can just offend people sometimes. Like, it's okay. Just, if they can't handle it, they shouldn't watch the videos, you know?
There's always going to be a pressure to avoid that when you are trying to reach more people.
I watched the R Traps Gay video. Have you seen that?
No.
Like,
I think I've seen that one.
well, in, like, that one, she says, like, I think maybe this might speak to what's going on there. She says, like this is, like, a bad question, in, like this, the question itself is sort of, like, inflammatory and, like, derogatory just in the way that it's phrased. But, like, she said that she's making the video so that, like, some kid who hears the question and maybe goes home and Googles it, she wants his first exposure to the answer to be like her video versus like some
I think
idiot,
it makes sense.
some memer on 4chan or whatever who's just, you know,
it's just kind of like it's in the early days.
And so in that way, I think if you're looking at it that way, she probably just wants to, like, control her language in a way that, like, you know, gives, like, people who are being newly exposed to these ideas, like,
absolutely,
she wants to guide the conversation in a certain, like, more productive way.
That's just the opposite of what I want to watch. Like, it's that points in the early days, because when I was watching her, she had like 50,000 subscribers or something, less than that. Like, this is years ago, you know,
682K.
Yeah, way bigger. She had like 45,000 when I was watching her, and like, again, the content was a lot edgier, and like part of the appeal was that she called herself like the right whisperer or something like that, because her appeals reached across the aisle to both camps and were capable of, you know, basically being nuanced enough in their approach that people from the other side would also be able to appreciate it. And now it just, when you watch the videos, it is so indebted to the community that she's speaking for at this point that it could no longer reach across the aisle that way. Like, people on the right are not going to watch these videos because they're going to see it as excessively SJW pandering.
I think that, I don't know, I think that they are still intended to reach across the aisle.
I mean,
hence,
I don't know
hence
how...
the traps gay, hence the R traps gay thing.
I don't
that's
know
sort
how,
of what the point of that is.
How long ago this change started, but the one I watched recently was the 2-part "What's Wrong with Capitalism" video, which I mean, the reason I liked these videos, I haven't been watching them in order or anything, just like what's recommended to me, is that she would like bring up things like the alt-right perspective, and she wouldn't like attack it in the same way that the armored skeptic would attack, you know, a left idea, just make fun of it, make names out of it. She would bring it up and like honestly like talk about it in a sort of neutral fashion before going on to her explanation of how whatever she's talking about. And I was just sort of like, I mean, I don't know whether that aspect's still. I mean, her most recent video, Trans Trenders, I watched and I felt like that was the same sort of thing. It was a bit like difficult to follow because I didn't know a lot of the terminology at first, but I got the gist by the end. about I don't know. I don't know whether she's too pandery. I don't think she's too pandery
it's not that I think she's,
for me.
It's not that I don't think that she still thinks the same way as before. It's that the videos are boring now because of the fact that they have to softball so much, explain all the jokes, like make sure everybody knows that she's not saying this or I'm not saying that. Like I said, I mean, if you just go watch some of the earlier videos, they are just a lot more like dense and edgy, and they don't come from somebody who seems like they were trying to appeal to everyone, it just felt much more personal and raw, and like what I see now is like somebody who is trying to take responsibility for their level of celebrity and present things and like be the spokesperson for trans people, because people are taking her that way because of the fact that she is more reasonable than most people. She's the one who everyone's going to link you their videos, everyone's going to say, oh, you want to talk about this issue? You got to watch the ContraPoints video. And like, I think she's internalized that and taken that into account. And I totally respect that, but it doesn't work for me because I already understand all this shit and I don't need it to be re-explained. I don't need to be babied through the video. I don't want to have to listen to you correct yourself and like make, apologize for everything you say. Obviously my own content, I make a point to not do any of that because I find it annoying. And I would rather...
Well, there you go. You're not the target audience.
I would rather just offend you and then have a conversation about it than to make my content
I doubt
boring.
she hopes for the same. Sure.
Hippo, what got you on Thought Slime? Because I love Thought Slime.
I think it was just that you had mentioned you were watching him and something about slime and getting him on IRFCK, and that was funny. So I saw a video of his and I was like, oh, okay. I didn't like his cartoon face, and his more recent videos with his actual human face is better.
He's not a great artist. We can all agree on that. But that's fine.
He also has the misfortune of looking like a giant baby man, which I don't hold against him, but is true.
Professional soft boy slime.
Yes, indeed. He's like who's that guy from Dark Souls 3 who just consumed like human flesh until he softened and turned to ooze and just started spreading everywhere. Saint Aldrich of the Deep or whatever. That's him. That's Thought Slime. I got nothing against that guy. It's just funny.
When I found Thought Slime, I was just like, oh wow, here's a guy who's just outright saying, like, he's not. There's no pretense. He's just outright saying, hey, I'm a fucking anarcho-communist, and I want to fucking end capitalism, and here's why. And you know what? It's just refreshing, right? And like, I did find other people. Like, it's not like he's the only one like that, but he was like the first one that I found, and he was just like bald-faced, like, capitalism sucks, and I want to dismantle it, and here's the problems with it. And I was like, oh my god, sick. It's like a relief.
Yeah.
Well, that's understandable. But hey, I've got a higher. Let me go one step up on the conversation tree here, because I experienced a truly euphoric piece of content recently that is very relevant to what we're talking about right now. You may be, of course, of the world-famous podcast known only as GRIMP, episode 2.
Oh, yeah.
Titled, Should GRIMP Do Politics? Was the question.
Yes.
And now, let me just cut through all the... I listened to it. You and Duobo, is that what he prefers to be known as online?
Well, I mean, we just call him John.
Okay, all right. I just didn't want to use
Duobo, a.k.a. John.
Okay, so John. I'm going to call him John because that's how I think of him. Discussion, you guys both very left-leaning. No problem, that's fine. But you get to the end, and the summary is, should GRIMP discuss politics? I would like to, quote, I wrote down Ben, quote, insanely transphobic Ben Saint, with the words, Ben, should GRIMP do politics? Quote, definitely not, no, end quote. That is the exact words used by one Benjamin Eleanor Saint. So, and I would just like to present that to the group.
As in, definitely not, colon, no. Definitely not, semicolon, no.
Correct.
Okay,
Not a negation of the previous statement being made, but a continuation of these
Yes.
negatory expression. Yes.
Got it.
So I would say, and that conversation was interesting. Everyone should go listen to world famous podcast GRIMP.
World famous anarcho-communist.
Indeed.
Advocate. Grim.
Sure, but the consensus of that show was like there are times when politics should be discussed and fleshed out and dived into, but politics is a fraught subject, can cause stress, inevitably causes much conflict.
Yeah.
And there are times and places where it's appropriate, not appropriate, and one needs to just partition your life in the appropriate way, probably, to decide when you want to get into it and when not. And I submit to the group that I think the PCP, my vision of the PCP, is one of these places. It is a fun place, not designed to cause... there are times when it'll inevitably come up, but to make it like a staple of the thing, I would think is not probably the optimal solution.
I agree. And I think I could probably dial it back. And I've been thinking, I don't need to... But... I'm not gonna dial it back down to 0, because sometimes things are said, and I feel the need to comment on them, and I mean, sometimes I feel like I'm not the one bringing in the politics. Like the politics are coming in like accidentally, and I'm merely reacting to them. Do you know what I mean?
I am sympathetic to that point. I would say that, however, there's a way to look at the world where anything could happen and one can view it through a political lens. I would say that it kind of depends on the observer. So I wouldn't exempt any particular person who views an event and chooses to view it through the political lens as opposed to someone who doesn't do that. You could look at, kind of like Anita Sarkeesian, like she says, like, everything is sexist and you need to look for these things and point them out. And I have no problem with her life, whatever, do whatever you want. But it's like, but she's choosing to view the world in that way so as to identify.
It's a little bit of a caricature.
I don't think so. I mean, I think that's a very rational reading of the ideology being put forward.
I think there is a clip of her saying everything is sexist, everything is racist, and you have to point it all out.
Yes, like, and it's taken out of context. I've seen.
Okay,
I am not trying to say that Anita Sarkeesian thinks that everything is sexist. I'm merely positing what I think is a reasonable point, that it seems to me that her and people of a similar persuasion choose to view the world through the lens of their particular ideology, which in their case is feminism. So
everybody does that. Everybody views the world through the lens of their particular ideology.
But not everyone's ideology is to lean towards politics. So there is a difference between people.
I think the thing here is that Anita Sarkeesian she talks about feminism things as sort of a job at this point. So of course she's going to comment on them more than someone who isn't doing it for a job.
This is just kind of an evolution of the, like, keep your politics out of my video games, which is like a wrong-headed argument in the first place, because like everything is inherently political.
I want to posit first
that's
of
not
all,
true.
I don't think this is a new thing for our podcast. I think we just have been using more political terms. Like when I think back to the early days of this show, like almost every fucking episode ended up in some kind of anti-SJW rant where we would go down the road of language politics or political correctness or something. Like, It's not unusual for us to spiral into political rants. It's just that with Ben consuming all this political content all the time, it is more like direct, like the terminology is there, the argument is more like directly in reference to political terms. But like, yeah, I mean, it inevitably happens if that's what's on your mind when you discuss things.
I'm just gonna say it. I'm just gonna come right out. Guy, are you ready? Are you ready for my bombshell? Are you ready?
Yeah.
To get triggered. Okay. Well, here's what I think. I think that as I have developed as a human being, right? As I have evolved, as I've opened my third eye, and ascended to the anarcho-communist utopia. I feel like I've moved a little away from what the rest of you guys might think. I've moved away from the centrist bullshit that dominates our society. I know.
It's not real.
It is. But anyway, the point is that I don't know, that I have disagreements now. That's it. That's I think that's the crux of it. Is now I have disagreements. We didn't used to have disagreements, and now I have disagreements. I've changed my position on a bunch of things. And
I mean, I'm
damn
like
it.
pretty casually political, so like I'm not like so overt. Like I don't have a set goal in my political like ideology or what I want out of the world. So like you having like this different, this change in politics a little. It's really just made me curious, and I'm going to look.
That makes me so happy. That makes me so joyous.
I mean, I don't know what centrism really is, but I'd like to be able to understand both Nate and Ben at the same time, if you know what I mean.
By the way, I want to be fair to our audience here for a second, because the argument is not really from them that they don't want us to talk about politics.
They're split. They're split.
No, it's that they don't want us to talk about politics. It's not that they have a problem with listening to people talk about politics. They just think we are retarded and that they don't like us talking about politics. Like that's by far the biggest complaint.
Yeah, I see it. I'm not unsympathetic to it. I'm trying to get less retarded.
It's hard.
It is hard.
It's also hard because
I'm not there yet.
I don't trust the people who are criticizing me always to actually know, because a lot of the time the argument is just, you should shut up about politics because you don't know about it. And then I say, well, what do I not know? Are you capable of explaining this? Because as far as I know, you're retarded about politics and I'm right, unless you can put up an argument. But
I mean,
I'm just being charitable to what their actual feelings are, not that I think they're correct.
On the one hand, there's like, there's lots of books out there to read. There's lots of stuff out there to consume, right? To get educated. On the other hand, you can never have read it all. You can never know enough, right?
And
you'll never be done learning it.
How do you vet which ones are... Like, there's always people who they've read a few books and now they think they know it all, but they haven't read the counter books. And it's like, you have to have read all the books and all the counter books and all the everybody's perspective before you can really look at it all and make a judgment for yourself. Like, it's always going to come down to not what is correct, but what you agree with.
I mean, even then, there's infinite knowledge that humanity doesn't know yet. Right. So any of that amount could be the problem with this whole discussion is that let's say we as the PCP found literally the perfect political ideology. We knew it. We had done this in some way. Okay, let's say we did that.
I already did it.
Okay, great.
Y'all just got to get on my level.
And now our mission is to convert the audience to thinking this in whatever way we choose. There is, you just have to think that the audience does not immediately, agree with you, and the process of making it, converting a show that's like a comedy show into a political show, I have always stood by that, and I believe it to this day.
We're funny people, so therefore we're a comedy show, I think, is generally... we don't set out to make jokes.
There have been no laughs on this particular episode.
I know.
I know, and I consider it a tragedy.
Do I look like
and there have been laughs. There have been laughs. But the point is, look,
where are the laughs, Nate? Show me the laughs.
Even if you're laughing right now. Even if we had a perfect political ideology and we were attempting to teach it to the audience, I would that process will be fraught and contentious, and you're making it like a political thing that just will be divisive because not everyone will agree with you. And the question is that the kind of atmosphere you want for your show? Some shows are political, some shows are not. And you can say that everything is political. I know, I understand the point, and that's kind of true, but there are shows where they talk about things where the point is not to be political or to make any kind of major point. I couch everything I say in, I'm an idiot, I don't know anything, this is just my life experience, could be wrong, don't trust me on anything,
I mean,
believe what you want to believe.
What I want the PCP and any content I'm involved with to be is a place where people don't get hung up on this, you have the strength of mind that you can listen to us talk about anything. That's what I would hope. Is that we could talk about politics, we could talk about anything else. The point of it is that it's us and our perspective and just being ourselves, and if you are interested in us, that's the appeal. Like, I don't think the PCP really has, like, we could say it's a comedy podcast, but obviously you don't listen to this podcast for comedy. You listen to it because you're interested in us. And so whatever we have to talk about, you know, again, I understand the people whose argument is, I don't want to hear you guys talk about politics because you don't know what you're talking about, and they find it infuriating. I would encourage those people to consider the possibility that we do know what we're talking about, unless you can prove that we don't know what we're talking about. But, you know,
I just think it's not fun. I just think and my goal is to make it fun to listen to. This is my priority. If you think it's not fun,
then I would say just we should always just, if we think a conversation is not going anywhere, we should move.
I want to keep the conversation upstream at like ideas and culture. I do not want to bring it downstream to politics. That's my thought.
I don't know what the fuck that means, but the trend that I noticed in the last like 2 episodes is that like the episode would come out and then there'd be kind of a bunch of comments, and, you know, sprinkled in there would be a bunch that were like, I love the political discussion. And then later on, like, more would trickle in that are like, I hate the political. And in the end, it would kind of even out, but it was like the people who are like watching it right when it comes out, they seem to like it more. And then the people that like watch it later or something, it seemed like more of them like less. I was like, does this mean that like maybe the people that are like more engaged like it? And like the people who are more casual listeners are annoyed by it?
Man, we don't have any analytics on that.
No,
I think it's possible people literally just jump into the comments, leave that comment because they want to get ahead of the other comments. They haven't even listened to the episode yet.
Who knows? Well, I think inevitably, as always, the funny thing about the PCB has always been there is no thought leader, there is no one whipping the ship. It's just whatever any of us want to talk about, and there are inevitably going to be disagreements and differences of vision as to what is to be done, the emphasis where it should be put. So I think all we can do is just state our case, ride it out, and see what inevitably wins out long term, I guess.
All right, well, this conversation has been boring for like 20 minutes. Let's talk about
Exactly.
Okay. I want to. I can say. Well, you want to go?
Well, yeah. I got a thing. It was just sort of like an idea I came up with, and I want to see who else feels this way. It is copycat anxiety. And this is the anxiety that when you are about to do or say something, and then someone else does or says that exact thing, you find yourself unable to do the thing you wanted to do for the fear that somebody will think you're copying the first person.
Absolutely.
Right.
I mean, I've thrown away video concepts many times because somebody else has already done it.
Somebody made a like a Banjo-Kazooie like kind of stylized like my Smash Confirmed series. And when I first saw that, I was like, oh, shit, someone just, like, did this, and perhaps I have some idea to make something like it. We'll see. And I was like, well, shit, I guess that's out. But then I watched it, and it, like, wasn't that good. And I was like, oh, okay, that's fine then.
Yeah, it's always easy to justify doing it again if you think that their version sucked and your version's
And it wasn't
good.
even, like, the same. There's many differences. But, like, when I saw that, like, they used the same kind of thumbnail template I use. Like, they used the same, like, font that I use for it. And I was like, nah, shit. But then it did seem to have a different
I mean, in that case,
kind of
if it's somebody who's doing your style, I would see them as the copycat.
Yeah, but it's still kind of like what? Let's just say that he literally ripped off my formula, which is fine, including like thumbnail, like title. Everything it's very deliberate, and like you could instantly know if it's like copying me, which it kind of was. Let's just say that he made like the full thing in the way that I would have. Like, is that bad? Should I be like mad? Should I not make my own? If it already exists, basically?
I would think you would do... I would definitely say you should do your own because it's your series. Like,
yeah, I mean, the thing about that is, like, those videos were so big and they were so shareable, but they weren't, like, Nate videos.
They're not about me.
They're copyable. It's a style that people can copy. But it's the problem is with that is that people won't realize if they're like casual watchers, they just saw these Smash videos. They won't notice that a different person has made them. Like, some people probably don't even realize it's not as good.
I think it would be evident when you watch it and it sucks. Like,
Well, I mean, I'm not even saying this was like horrible, but it was not at my level. That's true.
I
That's
would
true.
easily
It
be
went
able
on
to
for like
notice.
20 minutes doing the intro before it got to the music or something.
But a lot of people are dumb. They'd see like the black background with the Smash Ball. They'll see Banjo. They'll be like, "Oh, good, another one." They'll see like the font, and they'll be
Yeah.
like, "Wow, this guy really dropped off. Like, what happened here?" I don't know. Nothing I'm really worried about. But like the point, just to get back to Gibbs' point, because I do find that interesting. It did kind of dampen my spirits a little bit. Like, shit. But then I got over when I saw that, like, okay, this didn't really like do what I've done. But like, if you want to like do a review of an anime because you've got something interesting to say and it's an original idea you thought or something, then you like happen to click around and you see, oh shit, this guy talked about the exact thing I was gonna talk about, and his video is like nice and stuff.
I mean,
what the fuck am I gonna do?
This is not like you. I mean, in a small enough community, this is more powerful and more potent, especially when it comes to us in the PCP. Because I came up with this idea like a few weeks ago when Digi had been paid to rant about the Quickdraw not being advertised enough.
Oh yeah.
And up until that point, I'd been thinking, I really got to get around to making a video. And then Digi says it in the rant. And then people are like, yeah, what the fuck? Where's the Quickdraw ads? And I'm like, damn it. Now people are going to think I took information, like I wouldn't have had the idea if not Digi had said it. They think I'm copying
Right.
Digi's advice and that it's all his reason that, god damn it, I got so mad. Then I made that like sort of passive-aggressive ad
It was
for
very
Quickdraw.
passive-aggressive.
It's like, yeah, it's your fucking... Because I knew immediately people in the comments would think, Digi saved the day. And I was like, it wasn't Digi. I was thinking about it. I already knew. Ooh.
I'm the smart
Yeah, but
boy.
you
I
hadn't
know how to
done
do
it yet.
things.
You took
I
too
know I
long.
hadn't done it. I know. That's why, I mean, it's not even that I was angry at you, obviously. It was that
Right.
I was angry that I took so long and now people are going to think I'm a copycat freak with no brain.
Yeah. Oh, this is, I can't really speak to that situation, but just like two things like I was saying before about like other ideas. This is why for anything that like I want to even like tangentially relate to things I want to make videos on, I just like don't consume other people's media about it unless I expect to like quote it in the video
That's
or
a
whatever.
funny thing, Nate, because like I know a lot of reviewers do that. Like Yahtzee has always said,
I do
like,
that, yeah.
I don't watch anybody's reviews until I do my own, and it's because they usually say they don't want to have like anybody else's opinions color theirs, and I feel the total opposite because. And this is wrong of me to feel this way because, like, most people view creators individually. It's like, I follow you, I follow this guy, those are the people I consume. I always think of it as, like, this overarching discourse that, like, anything that's been said already, I don't have to say that again. You know? Like, if somebody else has said it, I don't have to say it. And so I always am trying to find the one thing nobody said. So, like, rather than, just, like, not consume anything else, which at this point I don't because I don't like any anime reviewers at all.
Sure.
So I don't watch anybody's shit just for that reason. But, like, for instance, with Mob Psycho, like, I would have made a video about Mob Psycho Season 2, but you had already gotten out your Reagawa before I got to it. And in my video, I literally am like, hey, Nate already talked about the show in broad terms. I'm just going to fixate on this one detail he didn't bring up because, like, I don't want to just repeat everything you said when you already did a good job. I'd rather just send people to your video, you know?
Well, see, that is a perfectly reasonable thing to do, to see what other people are talking about and kind of like avoid it, or even maybe in general terms recap it, like to a degree. That seems fine to me. But I very much worry personally about the guilt of either consciously or unconsciously like ripping off other people's ideas in any way. So I don't know. When it
comes to like an anime or a video game video that hasn't been covered to death, then I think it's fine to make your own video because people will think of it as, your take, even if it's very similar to some other video.
Sure.
There's a lower chance that they have seen that all those other videos of the same thing. When it comes to something like a review of The Last Jedi. Nobody could do that anymore. Like that has been done, like like the last episode of Game of Thrones, or something like overwhelmingly like what's the word? Cluttered, stodged. It's just too many. It's
Saturated.
too many.
Saturated. Yeah.
You know what's
Like
funny about
unbelievably
that,
saturated about that one aspect.
The funny thing about it though is that the audience, by and large, will just watch all of them. Like, they don't care if they repeat themselves. They don't care if they hear the same information.
I'm sure
They're
some
gonna
people
watch
care.
them all. Like,
I must have watched 20 videos about that Game of Thrones finale just because they were like out there, and I was like, all
I
right.
watched one.
There are people. Like, eventually, people will stop. Like, a certain person will only be able to consume so many Last Jedi reviews, but like the audience doesn't like disappear. It tapers off over like a long period.
Like, okay, for me, it's always difficult for me to understand other people's viewing habits because I only watch my subscriptions. I really do not adventure out of that. I don't go and watch like, I'm not the type of person who watches a movie and then searches for what people are saying about it. I don't care. I really don't care what anybody has to say. I only watch people because I like those people, and I don't care what they're talking about. I'll watch anything they talk about. But like, that's not how most people are. They watch everything pertaining to their interests. And like, I'll talk to Victor, for instance, who, you know, he will do that. He'll go and watch every video that's about something he cares about, and he just thinks all the videos are shit. He'll just be like he'll tell me like, you have to talk about this show because I watched 10 videos and they were all garbage and you have to make a video about it.
Sure,
and I'll just be like, okay, well, is there anything I can say that they didn't say? You know, like, is it just is it a problem with the presentation or what did they talk about?
What is he unhappy? Yeah, I want to know what he's unhappy about, like in a situation. Like, did they not discuss the ideas he was interested in, or is it that the presentation was terrible?
I think it's usually that he thinks they're wrong about it, like that they have the wrong take, you know?
Sure.
Like, I think he was positive
like every
about
Gridlock review before I made mine, and my great rage at that.
I think Victor was actually more positive about the final season of Game of Thrones, for instance. Like, I think he was upset that everybody had the same negative take, but I think he watched them all, you know? Like, every single one, he just gets madder and madder as he watches them.
I watched them all in a quest for, like, additional details that, like, most people weren't aware, for, like, nuggets of information. Like, maybe there was, like, this was set, like, Daenerys' thing was, like, set up in, like, a really cool way, like, we weren't aware of. That's not what happened, but, I mean, like, maybe someone knows something that I wasn't aware of. I'm on a quest for, like, people who did actual research and, like, looked at and, like, behind-the-scenes info and are gonna present it to me in a way where I don't have to do any work. I feel like that's what I'm doing when I, like, scour video after video. I'm looking for the more things than just the, you know, whatever, women are gay.
I suppose, like, if it's down to like everybody's covering something, and like if it is Game of Thrones, I would react a certain way after watching it. I wouldn't watch reviews first, and then based on my reaction, like, I didn't like it, so I wanted to see one, all the ways in which it sucked, because I'm not going to watch it again, and so I would find somebody like detailing everything. But then I'd also want to know like how they fucked up.
X got us covered.
Alt-Shift, that guy.
No, fuck Alt-Shift X. You gotta go with Preston Jacobs.
I watch both, goddammit.
Alt-Shift X is fucking... He's the fucking bargain bin, fucking watered down Preston Jacob for the dirty, degenerate masses.
Yeah, like me. I've never watched... I've never watched any of those books. So it's perfect for me.
Alt-Shift X. He only talks about the show.
He
only talks about the show. I spit on him.
That's not even true. He made a fascinating video about like the extended like lands. That video fucking ruled.
You know what? You're right.
Thank you.
It actually does rule.
All right, there we go.
I have a,
great.
I have a vlog that's going to come out soon where I talk about this, but one of the most important things that's extremely difficult for you as a content creator to put yourself in the mindset of is the fact that the audience has not seen your video yet. Like,
sure.
Like when you title it, like I have this problem where I always try to give my videos like a title that makes the most sense for the video, which doesn't matter to the audience because they haven't seen it yet. Like when they read the title, they will not know what the video is. So I can make the title basically anything, and then once you click the video, then you'll understand what it is, and you'll go, oh, okay, now I see how the title pertains to this. But like, you know, and so I think that when people are looking for information on a show, they don't know before they click if your video has any original or unique information. They're going to watch it to find that out. And so even if it has no original or unique information, it's going to get watched because people are looking for that. And they can't know if you have it or not until they watch the video, which is why you end up watching 25 fucking videos and you think half of them suck, because there's so many people who are just spamming everything that is popular, anything that their SEO manager tells them this is the thing to talk about. They're going to make a video regardless of what information they have. And you just have to be the guy who had the most unique take or just the best made video so that people will actually say, wow, this guy was actually good. I'm going to subscribe to him. But like, if you concern yourself about it, like if you're too hung up on everything I say has to be unique, you're missing out that there's only two kinds of audience members who are going to see your video. It's either somebody who's watching everything that has to do with the show you're talking about, or they only watch you anyways, which means that they're not going to hear any of that other shit. So if you only have like the most unique take and you don't focus on any of the outer details, then, you know, maybe those people who are watching absolutely every review will watch yours and think, okay, this one had something unique to say, but they would have watched it anyways. And if they're not that person, then they only are watching your channel and they don't hear any of that other shit. So
what's your suggestion? What's the way to operate then to capture that?
Just say whatever you want to say and don't worry about what anybody else is saying. Like, just
you mean in like the title and thumbnail?
No, in your video, just don't think about what anybody else is saying, because it won't affect you. It won't matter to your audience at all. It only matters to you because you want to feel original and you want to feel like you're not copying people, but your audience won't perceive it at all. They're only going to perceive like what the video is in and of itself. And if the video is good, regardless of if it repeats points from other people, then that will be what's recognized.
I suppose the most important audience to capture on YouTube, as sad as it may be, is specifically that demographic that isn't just watching everything about the show, nor your own core audience, because you've already got those people just by making the video. It's that other demographic that like you just aren't reaching, that you need to in some way like clickbait into the video, or I don't know, like convince to watch where they otherwise wouldn't have. That's through making the video really good, or like clickbaity stuff or whatever. I suppose thinking cynically from like a business perspective, that's like the most important demographic to appeal to however you can.
The funniest thing to me is like my brother Vic, he watches Jeff, Mother's Basement, pretty regularly and hates it. But he watches it because Jeff talks about every relevant cultural thing. That's his his gig. And Victor just wants to hear about those things. So anytime Jeff talks about anything Victor's consumed, he's going to watch it and just get mad. Like, that's what
But he wants to know what's going on.
People don't care if the video's even good. They watch it just because it's about the thing.
Like, there's, I don't know, like, guys like Tim Pool or whatever, who I'm actually pretty bored with, because I'm sick of news. Fuck news. News is shit. But he'll make a video about any event that happens, politically speaking, like, in the world, and he'll give his take. I mean, who cares? I'm over it. Like, who's doing that for anime? Jeff? And I guess that's it. Like, just Jeff. Maybe Gigguk a little bit with his, like, wrap-up things mostly, he does.
I mean, Jeff, even beyond anime.
Man?
He covers everything that's relevant at the moment.
Yeah, that's true.
Because that's what SEO is, search engine optimization, is essentially you just look at whatever everybody's talking about and you talk about that, and it always works. It will always be the most successful thing you can do is just talk about the thing we're all talking about. And I think that Jeff is somebody who's really good at getting interested in that thing. I mean, you could just say he has basic bitch taste, but like anything that everybody's talking about, he will legitimately form an interest and find something to say about it, because that is what he's passionate about, is being on the money, you know? Yep. And I think for you and I, we have a much stronger, like, I have to really legitimately give a shit, and I don't about most things, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like,
dude.
It's like
this Tim Pool guy seems like he really sucks.
Let's not get into it, because my point was I don't care, so let's just keep it at that level.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, well, anyway, I guess I was just gonna say that
Yeah.
when something I care about is also popular, it feels like the planets are aligning. It's like the most beautiful sensation.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god, everyone's talking about it, and I have something to say about it.
Yes.
This is gonna, I'm gonna ride this
great
all
thing.
the way. Like, I have to put all of my focus onto this because nothing else is gonna be my meal ticket for the next however many months this is relevant for, or
Indeed.
days.
Indeed.
In some cases.
I mean, not to make a cynical transition, but there was a tragedy recently that happens to appeal to you. Oh, not appeal, obviously, but in your wheelhouse of interest things, which is, of course, the Kyoani nightmare.
Yeah, but that's not a good thing.
I'm not saying it's good. I'm saying it's relevant to Digi because he's a big Kyoani fan, and
Well,
you know.
in the sense that like being relevant is like good for money, but like
Well, it
you wouldn't wanna
literally
make
is
money
though.
off of this.
It literally is.
I mean,
but
yeah, I can't really deny what Nate's saying because, like, as much as it really is like, I don't want to say an opportunity, but like, I have gotten a lot of views from talking about it. Like, I mean, my initial one was just kind of breaking the news story, which I'm like, I made international news. Did you guys
Yeah, I
see
saw
that?
that.
I was
I
on
did
the
see that.
news in like
in
Portuguese
some
or
Mexican
Brazil or
or
something.
Latin American country or something. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wait,
like
what?
that-
Why?
because I broke
Link.
because of my video on oh yeah, I should get the link. It's on Twitter. I was like the first person on YouTube to report on the Kyoani fire, and my video
Oh, yes.
there's a clip of my video in a news report from some other country. So it's like,
that is so crazy that like, I mean, I guess it makes sense. It's just
Social
funny that
media.
like they'd make I don't know, be like a news report, and like they would include footage of like a YouTuber talking about it.
Just
Like,
like
is
a
it-
news person talking about
Yeah.
the thing, basically. Yeah.
here I'm putting
Well, I
it
mean,
in
isn't
the-
that sort of like them like including a clip of like another news network talking about it? I mean, I know it's not
well,
the
they,
same.
they just
Yeah.
they don't like play a clip. It's just like running in the background as this guy's talking. Like, he's basically
Right,
talking
right.
about the
Huh.
fan reaction on the internet, like how people are, you
Mm.
know,
Oh, okay.
how people
Yeah,
are
all right.
reacting to it, and I come up in that. But it's like, so yeah, I can't
really
deny
funny.
that, like, even if my goal is just to, you know, break the news to as many, like, the only reason I made
My
a
point is,
video
of course,
that,
not to
yeah.
call you out or anybody out. I
Right.
understand. This is,
But
I'm,
yeah, no,
I'm
it
simply
is
pointing it out.
absolutely like
Yeah.
the fact that I feel something about something that everybody else is feeling something about, and am able to
Mhm.
put it into words,
Yeah.
is to my benefit in the long run. I mean, like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, there were some people who criticized me for because the second video I did, the one, the
That
Kyoani
you will
tribute,
experience hurt or whatever.
yeah, the damage is coming.
Right.
That video I monetized, which I had not done for the original news breaking because I thought, you know, obviously this is not about me. But the second video is a creation I made. It is in the vein of every other video I've done. It is my creative output, and my ability to connect with your emotions is my job. So it's like, on the one hand, there were some people who said, like, I can't believe you monetized this video, you know, when it's about this tragedy. And it's like, well, this is like me writing a book about a tragedy that happened. You know, like, you would pay for a book about 9/11. You know what I mean? Like,
We
from the
have complicated
perspective of-
relationships with tragedies as a
Yeah.
society, I think. I mean, I don't know. I don't blame you. It's whatever. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you know, just my take on it was like, I considered even tweeting about it, but I was like, you know, I like after I was like, I don't know what to say. Frankly, I was like, I don't know what charity to trust. Maybe they're literally embezzling. Like, I don't know any of these people. What am I gonna do? I just don't want to get involved because it seems weird to, like, I tweeted about Etika and I kind of felt bad because I'm like, I don't even want to be part of the conversation. All energy should go to focus on, like, Etika and other people. This is like maybe I could amplify, like, helpful voices in some way. I don't know. It just made me a little uncomfortable. And then
See,
this
like,
happens.
and it's funny because
Well,
ordinarily I
yeah.
wouldn't, and like in a case like Etika, I mean, I didn't know about him, but I wouldn't have probably said anything other than maybe just like, oh, I missed the guy, because there's nothing you can do he's dead. You know,
Right,
there's nothing you
right.
could do for him. In the case of Kyoani, it was like, this is an ongoing scenario where there's not only is there going to be the families affected, but like the studio's going to have to rebuild. A bunch of people are out of jobs, you know, like it's not just about the people who died. It's everybody surrounding
Right,
it
of
who's going to
course.
need help. So like, that was
It's
why
so
I
fucked
felt
up.
like I had to say something like, oh, I wasn't going to say anything until there was some kind of action that could be taken, you know?
Right.
Like, there's no
And you were
sense in me
right,
just
yeah.
making a video to cry about it. It's like, okay, well, there's a GoFundMe. It's being done by Sentai Filmworks, who basically licenses all of KyoAni's shit, so I would trust them to, you know, have the
Yeah,
right
that seems pretty
intentions.
fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, it was just kind of
Has
like,
there been any new information on like the person who did it? Do we know why he did it yet?
You know,
I mean,
I pulled
I'd
up an
rather
article
not-
from the AP. Well, I just like I think his motivation is relevant, just in terms like why he did it,
seems
so we
to
can understand.
Well, he
Yeah.
seems to think that they had plagiarized his book or something.
Yeah,
Like,
stole his
just
novel or
some
something.
insane shit. I mean, that's the only.
It
thing
doesn't
that people
sound
have-
legit. I mean, I would like someone to investigate this to some extent to find out if there's any truth. Obviously, even if it's 100% accurate, disproportionate backlash.
Well, yeah, of
obviously,
course.
but
I'm just
you know.
curious.
Whatever the case is, the guy clearly had meditated this for a long time, because the amount of, like, it just so happens that day, because the studio only has one fire exit because it's like an older building, and they had unlocked it that day because the news was coming to do interviews with them. So he would have had
this
to
guy
have
knew?
known that. Yeah. So like he
Oh,
was definitely
Jesus.
like stalking them, trying, like he was planning for it, you know. And I mean, he's fucking insanely ruthless. He was dumping fire on people as they ran out of the building and shit. Like, it's fucking crazy. But the reason for something like that could only be something insane.
Can you fucking believe this happened to Kyoto Animation of all fucking studios? Like, Jesus
Yeah.
Christ. What the fuck? I mean,
Yeah,
okay,
seems
there's
like
no
they
point.
were like the least bad one.
They're like the one studio that like really takes care of their employees and like
Yeah.
has good hours, good management. Everyone there is extremely
And
talented.
this doesn't really matter, but
Yeah.
it's like mostly women too, and it's like, what the fuck?
Mostly women. They had a daycare in that building.
Oh God.
I don't think any children were there that day.
Yeah, I heard. Yeah, it was,
Well, all right.
it keeps getting brought up, but it's still like, eesh. Like to walk through that.
You know, even in this moment, I feel a little guilty about even expressing any sentiment because I feel like I might be playing it up for an audience, and it makes me feel uncomfortable that
I mean,
I'm doing that.
You don't
What are you
got to worry
talking
about feeling
about?
that way
I
because
don't know.
everybody is feeling something, you know. And
I guess.
there's so early into this happening, because I was following everybody who was tweeting about
Fucking
it.
Dragon
and
Maid director. Is there any news on that guy?
He's
Have we heard
probably dead.
anything?
There's
Jesus Christ.
I mean, if they're labeled as, the reason that they're considered missing is that they haven't.
There's
in
like a weird
Japan,
Japanese thing.
They don't
where-
A
pronounce
doctor
somebody
has to
dead until
pronounce
they've.
them.
Yeah, until a
Yeah.
doctor's pronounced them dead. So
Weren't they
missing-
working on season 2 like right now?
Yes, I think that's probably why he was in the studio. Is
Holy
that they
shit.
were working on it. Yeah, I mean it's fucked, but like there was people saying, you know, everybody grieves in their own way, and I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, it's always important to keep that in mind, because like a lot of the ways that people react to it, I look at and I think, what the fuck? You know, like, why is that what you're focusing on? Why are you reacting like
Right,
this? Like,
right.
why? And then I just have to stop and say, okay, well, look, you know, not everybody thinks like I do. Everybody's emotional. Just let them.
You know what I-
let
you know
them
what I
say
saw?
whatever. Let them do whatever
I
they
s-
think they have to do. You know.
I saw a great interaction, which was just Demo tweeted like, "Oh, this is horrible," and then his follow up was like something this what a horrific event, and like what a blow to the industry. And then someone said like, "Really, bro? You're gonna focus on like the industry instead of the people?" And of course, this is him following his first tweet about like what a nightmare for the people. And Demo's like, "We really gonna nitpick my specific word choices, bruh?" And like not like he responded in such a calm way and was like, "Come on, bruh, we really gonna do this?" And the guy's like, "Oh shit, you're right, sorry, like it's fine."
I mean, it's been
way to keep it
you
cool,
shoulda-
calm, and
you
collected.
should have been in
Demo.
my Discord yesterday when
Yeah.
13-year-old Annie Fred, newest member of the Teen CP, was running around screaming about how he doesn't actually think that that like
Do we
everyone's
care?
emotions are legitimate because they're worried about you only care because it's Kyoto Animation, not because it's people, and it's just like, yeah, all right. you
Well,
need to-
yeah, I
Yes.
mean,
You need some perspective,
literally
kid.
kind of true. I'm
Yeah.
not really overly. I should be, but as
I mean,
a flawed
no,
I
human
don't
machine,
think you should. I think that people
It's-
should only be concerned about things that concern you, because if you try to concern yourself with every single human life on Earth, you will just be depressed all the time.
If it had been
True.
if it had been like the building next door that was burned down and the people in
Yeah.
that building had died, like none of us would have heard about it.
No.
I mean, we have a personal connect. I mean, many of us do. I've seen many of. Obviously, many of us are big fans. People take this line about like, yeah, you only care because you're personally involved. Like other things.
No
That's
shit.
not even a real argument. That's not like. I mean, I guess you're correct, but what should I not care because I don't know?
You're
think
only,
specifically?
you're only
Yeah,
sad
I
because
don't
you
know.
care specifically about.
By the way,
people.
nobody attack Anifred. He's like 13. He's
Yeah,
young.
no,
he
he's a
doesn't know
baby.
Yeah,
what's
he's
up.
fine.
Well, we
We'll
had a
figure it
long.
out.
There was a long discussion.
Right. Okay.
Though he has
okay.
not admitted to being wrong or anything. but-
He's 13. Give him time, people.
But anyway, the thing is that like
Mhm.
yes, obviously it would be nice if we cared about every human life, but
Mhm.
there are billions of people and you cannot do something for everyone. You can't.
Mhm.
You have a limited amount of self. And like the first priority of everybody should be taking care of yourself. Make sure you
Yeah.
are in the right place, you are mentally okay, you're physically okay. Take care of yourself. If something's wrong with yourself, don't worry about other people unless it helps you to take care of yourself.
Hence the put your mask on in the airport before helping those next to you. You just gotta-
Exactly.
Mhm,
And then
mhm.
once you are taken care of, you should worry about other people. But like think about like how much can I give? Like if I have to give money, for instance, like
Mhm.
how much money do I have? Who needs it? And like what causes what do I care about? You know, fix the stuff that you care about because nobody else is going to fix it. Everybody should be fixing the problems that are relevant to them. And that way, you know, every problem's getting worked on at the same time by the people who should be working on it. You know, if something,
yeah.
like if Kyoani burns down, like I was on Twitter and there's a lot of people who weren't talking about it, who don't know anything about it, who don't care.
Yeah.
You know, I follow plenty of people who aren't anime people, and like
Mhm.
I just kind of I didn't want to read those tweets. I was like, I only really care about this thing that's happening. So I'm not reading all these other tweets by other people, and I don't blame them at all. Why would I why would they care that 33 people they've never heard of died? Like that happens all the time. People die every second of every day. You care when you've heard of it and when it's relevant to you.
I almost worry even more about, I mean, I know, whatever, there's no point in comparing, but like imagine being like not one of the people who died, one of the employees there who's now permanently burned and scarred for life. You watched your coworkers burn and die around you, and now you're like, your job is gone, your life is and maybe you're like permanently crippled as a result of this one guy who you saw shouting die in the building and killing people. What a fucking piece of shit. I mean, obviously, but you know what this makes me think though?
Did that happen in
Yes. That's
that's what happened.
Wait, the arsonist was in there shouting,
he was in there
die,
screaming die at the people in there. Yeah.
This was like a very active arson. He was like in there dumping gas on people. He lit the exit on fire and then was throwing gas on people as they left the building. Like,
it makes me feel legitimately sick to think about.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, it's fucking
That's
insane.
nuts.
I
Oh
don't
my
know.
god.
That's why I'm saying like the reason could only be
so
something
empathetic.
insane.
Yeah.
I have to,
Okay, you know what,
this
though?
is the heaviest episode of the PCP ever, by the way.
Yowza.
It is terrific. Okay, I was just going to say, you know what? On this subject, it kind of even relates to politics that we were talking before. And it's just that, like, I mean, specifically, I heard about Kyoani, fucked me up. It's fucked up to even think about it this way, but when I heard about, like, the director of Dragon Maid, like, that he probably dead, like, that's when it was, like, that's when it kind of became real. And I'm like, something that I was looking forward to, was really excited about, I'm like, I'll probably never get it. And even if I get it, like, it won't be what it was. Everything that was in the building, all their work, gone. Even if they rebuild it, they're starting from scratch. And it was like, I thought to myself, like, oh, I want to tweet. I want to, like, share the information. But, you know, when I ultimately decided, for various reasons I already talked about, I was like, you know what? I think I want my online presence to be like, other people can talk about politics, totally understandable, totally fair. Other people can talk about tragedies, I get it. I kind of want my little bubble to be like an oasis of just like positivity and like a little bit of like, you know, just lighthearted, like talking about video games, talking about anime, things that we like. I was like, there's a time and a place for these things. I think I will kind of craft my online experience to just be a place where people can like chill and like get away from
Current
like stress
podcast
stuff.
Notwithstanding,
Not counting this, you know, I don't know. This is a shared group. This isn't just my stuff. This is maybe that's me being like a coward. I mean,
No, I think that's
we talked
totally-
about.
I think that we need
Yeah.
stuff like that. There needs to be
Yeah.
a place
I
you can
agree.
run to. That was
I mean,
like why I
I've-
put out, because I almost didn't put out the newest Swirling Dervish episode because like
Yeah.
I personally like that episode was done before the fire happened.
Right. Yeah,
I
clearly.
felt really weird about like saying anything other than about it. I was like, this is the only
Yeah,
thing I can
yeah.
talk about right now. And it wasn't until I had out my tribute video that I felt I could post anything else. It was like,
That's
this has to
understandable.
come out first, then we can do. But I was like, there was a part of me that was like, all right, do I want to post this podcast because this is still on my mind? But then I was like, well, what about all the people who would like rather think about anything else right now? You know, like
I posted my Weagua like the next day, and people were like, "Oh, I was really hoping he'd like make a video about, you know, the Kyoani." I'm like, first of all, I don't have time to get that out before this.
Right.
But I mean, that's just the sentiment. I get it. I get it. That's what's on everybody's mind.
I think I saw one person like criticizing you for like talking about something else. Like
Who,
they
me?
wouldn't. Yeah, like they wouldn't have imagined that you could have you would have recorded this before you heard that news or something.
yeah.
What?
I don't remember where I saw that. It was a comment in a Discord.
It's
maybe.
another case of like everybody grieving differently. Like there are some people who I totally get why you are just going to be upset that anybody cares about anything else, because that's always how it feels. It's
yeah.
like when your like parent dies, like you are not going to be interested in hearing about anything that anyone has to say because you're going
Yeah.
to be completely focused on this thing that nobody but you has a reason to really care about, you know?
Right,
And it's just like
right.
you have to face the fact that we all have to reserve our grief for when we need it. You know, like
Sometimes I think about
there was a
yeah.
mass shooting 10 minutes from my house a month ago, and when I heard about it, my reaction was like, "Wow, that sucks. The world's a shitty place." Even though it happened right near my house, because I don't know the people involved. Mass shootings happen all the time. If I'm just
Yeah.
depressed every time there's a mass shooting, I'll never not be depressed. But like when something that's really relevant to me, like this happens, it's like, okay, the walls are coming down. Like I can't control this
Yeah.
emotion. That's what, you know, kind of the point of my video is like, sometimes it's going to happen directly to you, and that's when you're going to feel it. And
You know, a fascinating thing happened to me recently, which was just me and Michelle went to Kings Island, a big roller coaster water park place in Ohio. Pretty fun, pretty good time.
Oh, did you make a vlog?
I should have. No. I took the pictures. I don't know. I didn't post them on Instagram. Maybe I will at some point. But it was just that like the first thing that we did was Michelle and I went on like it was like a wooden roller coaster. And it was, I don't know, it was like the first one to go on or something. Thunder, I don't know, that might be the wrong name. But like as we're getting on it, like Michelle hates roller coasters. And I'm saying to her, oh, this is a wooden roller coaster. Like these aren't as bad. Like we can see
Oh
a
no!
Diamondback.
Wooden ones are the worst.
Well, at the time I wasn't, the shaking you get on a wooden roller coaster feels far worse than the sleek experience of a metal. At the time I was not thinking about that, have not been in a while. So we're in line. Michelle's very nervous. I'm like, no, it's fine. Like, this isn't that big of a row. It's going to be fine. We get up in the front of the line. Michelle's still nervous. We ask the guy there. It's like, we ask the guy, like, in the line, hey, dude, is this, like, she's a little nervous. Is this roller coaster bad? Of course, we aren't thinking. This is a jaded man who works at an amusement park. And he says to us,
if
like...
I were you, I'd have done
Yeah.
that specifically because, like, yeah, I'm going to ask this guy. Obviously, this guy doesn't give a shit.
Well,
He's just going to be like, yeah, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't be a pussy.
I was kind of thinking that at the time.
Yeah,
but...
and then you know, it's going to put her mind at ease.
That's what happened, yeah.
And then she's going to do the thing.
Yep.
And, like, it'll be fine.
Well,
Like,
okay,
it's gonna be fine.
Ultimately, it was fine, but when we get on, there's a moment where, as we're on the ride, the guy said, like, yeah, no, this is the first roller coaster you're supposed to do. That's what he said. Now, he meant of the serious roller coasters there, because there are kiddie ones that you can do too. But anyway, we're going on it. We're going up and up and up on the thing for the first drop, and as we're like halfway, Michelle just leans over and she's like, wow, we're really still going up, huh? And the answer was, yep, we're still going up, and it just feels like an eternity as we climb. And the realization dawns on both of our faces as we look at each other that this was more than we had bargained for. And as we go down that first hill, and I see any anticipation, any feelings of possible trepidation, turn into sheer pain,
any feelings
sheer
of
agony,
feelings of possible
All hope
reconciliation
out
of this
the window.
relationship dissolves.
Well, that the screams, and at first I'm like, yeah, this is fun. My stomach was like holding it together at first, for the first dip or two, but then I turn over and I see just the actual agony, the actual, not a joke, pain, pure pain. This is not a joke. Like wanting anything but to be doing what's doing there, on Michelle's face. And I lost my nerve, and then I felt sick, and I was like, this is not fun. This is not fun anymore. And then I actually felt deeply emasculated that my girl is in such pain, and there's nothing I can do to help her. And we just have to endure until we get to the end of this ride. It was a very negative experience for that 30 seconds at the end of that ride. And we get off.
What a bunch of pussy shit I'm hearing.
All right. We get off, and Michelle was very unhappy about. Look, she recovered real fast, but in that moment of being on that ride, it was if you could crystallize her emotion, you have pure crystallized anti-fun in some sort of gem. And that, I would sell it to the highest bidder.
I'm glad somebody hates roller coasters as much as I do. Jesus Christ.
Clear that she's your girl. She's your girl. Now, I went on to go on the metal roller coasters and had a grand time. I was too scared to go on the biggest one, Diamondback or whatever it is. But the other, the loop-de-loop, it was easy.
What difference does it make to go on the not as bad one versus the super bad one? They all are the same. It's always going to be the same.
I disagree.
I think a wooden one is a bad choice.
It was a bad choice because
you'll get way sicker.
I think Michelle would have actually been much better on the metal one I went on. It was even bigger because the shaking on a wooden one is so much worse. Okay, but this was my point. The helpless feeling I felt looking at Michelle was similar to how I felt when I heard the news about Kyoani. I just felt I kind of forget the point I was making at first, but I think this was it.
What a strange comparison.
You think so? I forget exactly what I was trying to link up, which two ideas I was trying to connect here, because that story was too long. But oh, you know what? I've got another story I wanted to report here to the ladies and gentlemen on the PCP, this one's shorter and much more fun. So me and Michelle we're going into we're by University of Cincinnati. I forget what we're doing there, picking up some stuff or whatever. We park next to a famous landmark in Cincinnati, Topper's Pizza, where Grace was here. We ordered some yesterday just for a little snack. It was fun. It's
You're
what
a
college...
dog.
I know.
You're a dog.
I tracked my calories. I was a little bit over, but it's fine. But it's like the staple of drunk college kids at 4 a.m. You go to Topper's Pizza and you get their breadsticks and you dunk that shit in marinara sauce. That's what you do in Cincinnati if you're a college kid. So that's the vibe. So we happen to be parked.
I just gotta break in.
Oh, yeah.
And say that yesterday I made my masterpiece keto pizza.
Oh, really?
Right? I made the ultimate keto pizza. The secret was I used Arlo's recipe, less egg, more xanthan gum. Ultimate crust. Shit was crispy. It was legitimately crispy, and I couldn't be more pleased.
Is Arlo keto?
No, but one time he posted a low carb. He was doing he was dabbling in low carb, and he was like,
Sure.
hey guys, here store bought cauliflower pizza crust. They just don't do it for me anymore. I just can't get off to that shit. I need the hard stuff.
Yeah, right.
So I made up my own. So here's the best recipe I found. Yeah, almond flour and fucking coconut and whatever. Yeah, and he was right. It was.
Base Arlo knocks it out of the park once again.
Base Arlo.
All right.
Thanks,
well, listen,
man.
this is what happened. So we pull up. We're parked in front of Toppers. We're getting in the car to leave. We didn't go to Toppers. We just happened to be in front of it. However, Next to us, a car pulls up and blocks us in. So we can't leave at the moment. We're like, okay, we got to wait for this guy to go. He gets out of his car, walks into Toppers. He's wearing a hat and sunglasses. And we're like, well, dude, I mean, we're like, what the hell? We're trying to leave here. A few seconds pass. We're like, hopefully he'll be back soon. It looks like his car's still running. Out of the store, he comes back. He's kind of hustling. He gets in his car and he drives off. And we're like, okay, we can go. Okay, out of the Toppers bursts a woman who comes running, looking back and forth, and is like, where did he go? Where did he go? I lean out of the car window and I say, ma'am, he drove off. Why? What happened? What's the deal? She says, that man robbed the store last week and just came back now and threw a roll of toilet paper at us and then ran away and sped off in his fucking car.
What the fuck?
This man had robbed this store the week before and came back a week later specifically to throw a roll of toilet paper and prank them in some way before speeding off to adventures unknown at Topper's fucking Pizza in Cincinnati. What's the deal with that? Why did he do that?
That's bizarre.
What do you, any
revenge?
thoughts? Revenge. He robbed them. He robbed them.
Well, maybe he thought they were unsporting about it.
I think that's probably true.
Like...
Just one of the strangest things I've seen. And then we just drove off, and that was the end of that. But fascinating event. I don't know, just like a tall, I don't know, middle-aged white guy, hat, like looking to be incognito. Just came back and pranked a store he had robbed the week before, and off he went. I wonder about his motivation. I wonder about what he did later that day.
He probably put it on his YouTube channel. He was probably streaming the whole time.
He probably was. He occupies a lot of my thoughts these days. But that's it.
I have a story. I have a story of something that happened to me this week. All right. So this is gonna be stupid.
Okay.
So I'm going to Aldi, right? Because they got the best deals, right? They got the best fucking deals at Aldi. Heavy. Nowhere can you buy heavy cream for less per quart.
Great.
Than at Aldi, and that's where you get the ultimate energy drink, Gridlock Extreme Red, 99 cents a can. You can't beat it. You just can't beat it. So I'm like, okay, so I leave the house, right? All right, I'm gonna go catch the bus. There's like, I take a bus and then I catch another bus and it brings me there and then I take it back. That's the route, right? So I get on the first bus and I realize as I'm going, like, oh shit, I didn't charge my phone. My phone's dead. So I won't have Google Maps. Whatever. I know how to get there, right? So I'm like, okay, but I know how to get to Aldi. So I take the first bus to, the place and I stop and I'm waiting for like half an hour. It's taken forever. It's bullshit. And then finally, I'm waiting for one bus, but another bus comes. I'm like, this bus is going the same way, and it's not that far. I bet it'll take me to, like, the same place, right? So I get on that, and I go for a while, and it drops me off at Sullivan Square, or whatever. Some, whatever. Just stop. Let's say Sullivan Square.
Sure.
And so I'm there, and I'm like, shit, this isn't where I was supposed to go. And then, so I'm just like, but you know what? I have a keen sense of direction. I know generally where I am. This has worked out for me before. This strategy has borne fruit. So I'm just going to start walking in the general direction that I'm pretty sure Aldi is in, and I'll probably recognize some landmarks on the way there.
Okay. Oh,
so
you did a full Magda.
Pretty much.
This,
Well,
this
yeah,
is
where'd you go?
I'm prone to this kind of thing. So I just start walking, and I just start going. Vapors 3 available now. SaintComics.com. And I just start walking and I'm going for probably I'm going for a while and I'm like, I don't recognize anything. So I duck into a vape shop, right? Of all places.
A haven from the heat of the sun of the cool world. Right. It's like a Pokemart. No, a fucking Pokemon Center. You dive in, you recharge your batteries. Yeah, ready.
Yeah. All right. So and I asked the guy behind the counter, I'm like, hey, do you know where the Aldi is? And he does not know what I'm talking about. And I'm like, the grocery store. And he's like, oh, Stop and Shop. And I'm like,
kinda.
Yeah. So I pretend to be interested in him telling me the directions to the Stop and Shop.
Of course.
I pretend that I'm going to take any of this and
it's
use
the right thing to do.
So I humor him for a minute. I'm like, okay, thanks. And I turn around and I walk back to the station. I'm just going to go back and wait for the bus. I'm going to wait for that bus to go the other way. I'm just going to go back to the first stop. So I get on, I wait for a while, I get on, what I think is that bus. Turns out it's going the other way. I'm actually going the wrong way. And I'm like, okay, whatever. It'll turn around, right? I'll get back to where I started eventually. So it's going, and then I think that, like, wait, I do recognize this landmark. I have seen that Bank of America kiosk. I have seen that CVS before. I know where I am. So I'm like, I hit the fucking strip on the side, right? So I get off the bus, and I'm like, sweet. And then I walk to where I think the bus stop is at this place, and then I realize, no, I have no idea what this place is. This is not what I thought it is. I'm lost. And my phone is dead.
Oh, no.
So I'm like, okay, cool. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna start walking. So I just start walking in one direction. I'm like, I'll find another bus stop eventually. I go up and down like a couple of times. I pass a bus stop. Like, no, that bus stop looks bad. Like, it doesn't look like it's, what is it? It stops for an express line. I don't want that. But then I finally settle on it. So I wait, and the express line comes, and I'm like, hey, are you going to such and such square? And he's like, no, you're going to want that bus. And he points to a bus that is one stop down. It is there. Like, I must run to the stop.
Right.
It is across the street. I must beat the bus to it. I barely do. I jump on that, and I'm like, are you going to such and such square? This is the bus that I just got off, right? It's the same one that I just jumped off. So I'm back on the original bus, which is whatever. Anyway, turns out, somehow, this does in fact get me back to where I started. And then I wait at the original place. I wait for the first bus that I was supposed to take in the first place. I get there. It takes me to sort of near the Aldi, kind of. I get off in I'm within a couple blocks of it. I have to go through a chain link fence. Luckily someone tore a hole in it, so I'm able to dive through.
This is the fucking Odyssey. When does it end? Jesus Christ.
I have to ask a guy, a mailman. I'm like, hey, do you know where the Aldi is? And he looks it up on his phone. He's like, yeah, it's that way. So then I'm like, okay. So I go and I find the Aldi.
Okay, great.
It's closed.
Oh.
It's temporary closed for repairs.
Oh.
So I have to go to the Stop and Shop instead.
You should have listened to that wise
Which
man.
turns out is the Stop and Shop that this guy was telling me about,
my
which
God.
is right next to the Aldi I was trying to get to. I should have just taken his advice and followed his directions. It would have got me there. So I fucked it all up. So I do my shopping, right? I buy my heavy cream, cheapest you can find anywhere.
Except Aldi.
Mushrooms.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's right. No, it was a terrible deal. It was a terrible deal because
Okay,
I got
right.
it from Stop and Shop. So I get my shit, and I go, and I walk, and again, I miss the bus stop, and I have to walk around several blocks to find the place I was looking for. I sit down, I'm waiting for the bus. And then, and who do I see, right? Who do I see coming down the street but some young thug, right?
Uh-huh.
Some, criminal. Some thought criminal.
Okay.
Wearing a Trump Make America Great Again shirt. So I pull out my stiletto, my blade, and I slip it between his ribs.
Yeah, right.
And I make a quick sideways cut. No. So I'm wearing my Yang shirt.
Sure.
I'm wearing my Yang shirt, and I'm like, I'm gonna kill this guy. I'm gonna kill this guy with facts and logic. So he's walking by. He gets close, and he's like a teenager. He's an Asian kid. He might have been could have been 18, could have been 15. I don't know, high school, college. And I just kind of turn to him, and I just kind of grab my shirt at the corner, and I just kind of you can kind of tug it up a little, just sort of I basically just kind of make a gesture that it draw his eyes to the logo on my shirt. And I just look, and I and he looks at me. He's on his phone. He looks at me, and he says something in Chinese, and I'm like,
okay.
I
thought Trump sent all you people back. What's going on here?
And now I don't know what to say. I'm like, Yang, because you're wearing a, and he's just because you're wearing, and then the bus that I'm waiting for starts to pull up, and he's just staring at me, and I'm left. I have a moment. I have but a moment to explain what I was trying to do.
Yeah.
And I'm just because our shirt's got two different guys, and he's in a super thick accent. He's oh, and I'm all right. Well, I gotta take this.
He just
bus.
said oh.
He was oh, okay, or something.
Oh, yeah,
and I'm
okay.
and I'm I gotta take this bus. I'll see you later.
See you at the ballot
And
box,
I made a great
fucko.
friend that day.
Yeah,
An ally for life.
right. So having owned the cuck-servatives,
Yeah, way to
I
go.
jumped on the bus and headed home victorious. I wonder if he even knew. Like, I mean, surely he knew.
Ben, this
right?
is like exactly the story of the that meme of like the two guys walking by each other. One says like howdy, the other guy like cries to himself, and then he like goes back home and blogs about how he owned the libtard or whatever. In that exchange. He's just just bemuddled by your attempt at communication, and then here you are claiming victory, the moral victory, if nothing else.
He went home. I'm sure he had a long, hard think that night about what he really believes, right, and what his priorities are.
I've no doubt.
And what really makes a great nation when you really get right down to it. Yeah. So that was my adventure.
Fascinating.
Yeah. Anyone else?
I'm just gonna say I've heard that Chinese people have a hive mind, and I think that your attempt to convert one of the drones was unsuccessful in this particular exchange, but also explains why he was unable to communicate. The Queen wasn't there. This is my understanding.
I wonder what. Just I wondered like. Why was he wearing that Trump shirt? Does he know what it is? He probably knows that it's a Trump shirt. Like, he's probably knows, like,
here's a theory. Here's just a theory. Maybe he's wearing it, not because he, like, loves Trump, but because, like, maybe he just acquired it in some way, and just, like, the president, and so he's maybe
he just had the shirt, right? Maybe his parents like Trump or something, and he just had the shirt. Maybe he does know what it is, and he sincerely likes him. Maybe he, like, thinks it's funny. Maybe
it's hard to say.
Maybe he's, like, a big memester. But I think it's highly likely that he probably didn't recognize my Vaporwave Yang logo.
Probably. Because
it's that sunset.
Yang's not pulling
vaporwave.
too well these days.
I mean, this is a kid. He's probably not that politically engaged,
right?
As well as like his English. Maybe his English is better than he would have let on in his like 1.5 words that he said to me.
Right.
But just really, really makes you think. Really makes you think about what's going on in the world.
This is the power of political discourse, ladies and gentlemen.
There's always, I just think that there's a lot of things going on in the world. Like, there's always something going on, and like, world leaders are real. They're keyed into it. Like, they're always paying attention to like what's going on in the world, and this is something that went on in the world.
Something certainly went on.
It qualifies for that, and not much else. But yeah, I'll stipulate.
That's right,
Ben.
That's right.
There is an Aldi near my house that Munchie visited.
Yeah.
And he was bemused to find an Aldi-specific energy drink called Dark Thunder.
Sick.
Was that at your place? Was that
yeah.
He was in. Okay, he told me about that. He told me about Dark Thunder, and okay, so I wonder, right? Because the thing about Aldi is that Aldi is one company that branched off of a parent company that split into two. And in Europe, they're like Aldi East and Aldi West. But in America, like, I might be getting this a little mixed up, but like in Europe, they're like Aldi East, Aldi West. In America, like Aldi East is just Aldi, and Aldi West is, drumroll, Trader Joe's.
What?
Yes, that's true.
Trader Joe's is related to Aldi?
They are split off from the same
But they're
parent company.
nothing alike at all.
That's why they split. They had a fundamental philosophical difference, and they couldn't reconcile it. They couldn't reconcile. I think it's like two brothers that founded the company, and
really? That's interesting.
Yeah, and yeah. So and like
But
one
Trader
of them,
Joe's is an
one brother leaned left and the other leaned right, and they couldn't reconcile their differences.
Which is which? I don't know the difference.
And it ended in a sound familiar, Nate? Sound like a tale as old as time?
Indeed. Only yeah. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. So
which one?
The cycle repeats itself.
Yeah. Wait. Is Trader Joe's left, or I don't know the difference between the which is which?
I don't know. But,
okay. Never mind.
The I don't know the difference.
More like Trader Joe.
More like yes. Okay. But now I wonder. Okay.
This is
so
your story has some holes in it according to Wikipedia.
Wait. I was thinking. Okay. Details don't matter, right?
Right.
So I was.
What matters is how we feel.
So I was going. If the Aldi had been open, I would have gone in there and immediately looked for Dark Thunder, but I didn't get the chance. But now I wonder, if this was at a European Aldi, maybe then, if this Aldi doesn't have it, maybe if I went to a Trader Joe's, they would have Dark Thunder. So that'll be my
This
next
is an intricate
stop.
web. Yeah, it might be.
Yeah.
It might be.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Keep us posted
All right,
on that.
I'm in it. I'm in it. What are the holes in my story?
Well, that Trader Joe's was originally a Californian grocery store that opened in 1967. In 79, it was bought by Theo Albrecht, who owns Aldi Nord, until his death in
His
2010
adopted brother.
when the ownership passed to his heirs.
Maybe those heirs were the two brothers that like
oh,
split
No,
up.
there
or
are
something?
two. The two brothers do own the two different Aldis. Like it was founded by a pair of brothers, and they did split it into Aldi Nord and Aldi Sud. But the guy who owns Aldi Nord just happens to also have owned Trader Joe's. But it's not that it was the same.
That's enough of
Do
that.
you guys have
Okay.
Do you guys have
All right.
Lidl in America?
Little?
LIDL. It's a very similar European
think so.
thing.
No.
Okay.
Wait,
it's
no.
it's basically the same as Aldi, but spelled slightly differently.
We have BJ's. We have BJ's, and that's sick.
I
BJ's is
walked
excellent.
by. Okay, so after I went under the chain link fence to get to Aldi or Stop and Shop or whatever, I walked by none other than an Ocean State job lot.
Oh yeah, right.
But the thing about this Ocean State job, it was completely boarded up, and I shit you not, right? Okay, imagine an open state job lot. Like, you know what they look like? Like, they got a big fucking front wall, and there's like a big, like, sort of opening with like probably like some fucking automatic doors, right? Some sliding automatic doors, right?
Yeah.
You can imagine the entranceway to an Ocean State job lot. This one, it was a brick wall. Like, there was no recession. Just the entire thing that would have been like the entranceway leading to the sliding automatic doors that would enter into the store had been entirely covered. Someone had just brick and mortared over them into a solid brick wall.
Dude, that is a basic bitch Minecraft build. You have to switch up your blocks. You can't just be using bricks like that.
I mean, it probably would have been more energy efficient to just use gravel.
Indeed. Well, cobblestone.
Ben, I'm reading about Aldi, and I want to know how you feel about the fact that while Aldi is the cheapest grocery store with the best prices, the guy, Karl Albrecht, who owns Aldi Sud, is the richest man in Germany and the 21st richest man in the world, while the brother was the 31st richest man before he died.
Well, hey, what can you do?
I mean,
We all use
not
Amazon.
great. Yeah, it's bad, but there's no such thing as ethical consumption under capitalism. So, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Fair enough.
And they're just, the deals on the heavy cream, forget about it. It's like a dime less per tablespoon. And that's not true. That's an exaggeration.
One might say that the low prices are able to be so low because of the strengths of the competitive market. Any thoughts?
It's a little reductive.
Probably.
How can you? You could say that.
Mm-hmm.
But this company was formed in the market.
Yeah.
So it's the way it. Yeah, it's the way it is. You could say that about any company. Like, any company, however good or bad, whatever strengths or weaknesses it has, you could attribute those things to, the competitive market.
Remember when Nate was like, I don't want to do politics on the show?
I get to say I say one thing. I make one mild point. Give me a fucking break.
One mild point that is a
politics.
question that has huge ramifications and could lead to a massive discussion.
I know, but then I wonder, is it best to just, let everything go unchallenged? I guess
What
that's
do you mean
the better...
unchallenged?
That's what I do.
Well, I fundamentally disagree with much of what you just said, but I guess I just won't say anything because I don't want to argue about it.
Well, Nate. Well, if your goal is to not talk about politics, then I would say that is the only thing you can do. In pursuit of that goal.
I guess.
So, what are your priorities?
Well, but what's to be done when one hears political discussion that they disagree with, but they also don't want to talk about politics?
Do what I do, and
there's
don't
no way to
say
win.
anything. I just ignore
Yeah,
it.
you're right.
If I contended every single thing I disagreed with on this podcast, there would be nothing but that. It would just
You know, Digi,
be...
you're right. You're better than that. You're better than me at that. Absolutely true. I need to get on your level.
Well, I also just feel that way all the time about every interaction I have with anybody. It's like if I stopped this to nitpick everything they said, there would be no end. This is all that we would be doing.
I do that a lot, and I want to stop. I want to not do it anymore. This is a personal issue. I'll work on it. You're right, guys. You're right.
Do we want to transition topics?
How about to voicemails?
Well, I have one.
Okay.
Well,
okay.
kinda. I don't know how much you want to talk about this. But speaking of politics, kinda. Not really. I was just gonna say that I fell down the Destiny well, and I watched like a million Destiny debates.
Oh no!
I'm amazed you can stomach that shit.
I really, he's good. I think he's really good, and I don't agree with him on a lot of things. But boy, I sure do hate a lot more people now.
Ooh, I've got a juicy one. This isn't political. This is, I suppose, a cultural issue. But it's one thing I see Destiny get attacked for all the time, and I could not be more with him on this subject. And it is that everyone shits on Destiny for being ostensibly, in the sense that he has no moral objection to, the consensual adult incest. And
I listened.
You know what I mean?
I listened to the video.
Yeah.
Where he debates that. The guy he's debating it with is so stupid.
No one has ever raised to me why it's like morally.
No,
yeah. Okay.
This
go
is
on.
not okay. If you're looking for like a really robust argument for why it's not wrong, you're not going to find it here because the guy he's debating is incapable. He's barely even capable of stringing a sentence. He will literally say a thing. Destiny will quote it back to him word for word and say, "Is that what you're saying?" And he'll say, "No, I didn't say that." And he does it over and over and over again.
I don't know about any specific. I don't think I watched any specific video, but I see this come up a lot.
That specific video is really frustrating, but it's also really funny.
Just okay, people.
And the guy cannot understand the concept of like he can't. He cannot understand like the process by which an argument is made.
People have
and
so much
rebutted.
trouble with this issue, and they they get all mixed up. Let me just state my case because I think me and Destiny, we're totally in agreement on this. Does involving yourself in incest, in my humble opinion, like pretty much fuck up your family life in a major way permanently? Absolutely. Absolutely. That being said, does a person who's an adult have a right to fuck whoever they want or not? I say yes. Therefore, it's not my business whether people choose to engage in consensual adult incest. I have no moral objection to it, and I cannot find any reason to. Where people who say, people get so on his case about this, it makes him a fucking idiot.
Is this a contentious issue? I feel like probably people are just trying to mess with it.
Yeah, it seems like it to me.
I see people use this. Like, it's kind of like the way people just throw out pedo. They say that, like, Destiny's, like, pro-incest for, you know.
I could imagine that people are just scorned by the fact that Destiny is really annoying, and so anything they could potentially
I, too, find Destiny extremely annoying much of the time. Nonetheless.
I don't understand why people find him annoying. I really don't get it. I really don't get it.
The reason they find him annoying is that the constant just barrage of insults that he throws at people.
He doesn't really. He will slip some in. Like if the person he's arguing
slipping
with
them in
is being like
does that
really
all the time.
Really.
I find him very patronizing to listen to the people he's debating.
Extremely patronizing. He also constantly recontextualizes what you're saying and like just changes it. He changes what you're saying into something else on the fly constantly.
I don't agree.
Did you watch our debate?
Yeah.
You didn't feel that he was literally proving my point as we were arguing?
No.
You're retarded. No. You are fucking retarded.
I'm sorry.
Digi,
Not that I don't already think so, but you're fucking retarded.
I don't think most people think that you came out on top in that particular debate.
Because
and you know
most people are stupid and they didn't understand the point of the debate because he changed it to be about something else.
Okay, well, yeah, I thought that the whole point of the debate and what it turned into was like, it was sort of, I didn't understand why it needed.
Okay.
Like,
you have to understand.
Like, I know, like, you went on there to talk about Dick. And
no,
you ended up
I
having
did
this
not.
argument
That's
about
the whole point. He made it that way.
Boy.
It was not about Dick at all.
Hang on. Can you state the point of the debate then,
yes,
please, so I understand?
Okay. What happened was that I had made a video criticizing the debate he had with Dick, where I said that I thought Dick was correct because Dick's argument had been, you put words in people's mouths and you argue like an asshole. Destiny continually deflected this and made the conversation about all this other shit, and he put Dick in a position where he's arguing with him about, like, stuff that Destiny has clearly done a lot of research and has very particular points about, and forcing him into an argument he wasn't prepared for, because he's not showing up to argue about this. Which is proving the point.
Dick had no fucking idea what he was
talking about. It doesn't matter,
about.
Because that's not what the point was. The point of the argument was just that Destiny argues like an asshole and makes it about other things, which is what he did.
What kind of an argument? What kind of an argument is that to even have?
What do you mean? The argument is that he argues like an asshole, and that's the whole fucking point.
What's the point of going on his show to debate him about whether or not
who cares
he's
what the
an
point
asshole?
is? Who cares what the point is? That's what the argument was.
Okay.
The argument is you argue like an ass and you make the conversation about other things. You constantly divert what the person's saying and you put words in people's mouths. And that's exactly what he did. So I accused him of the same thing. And then on Twitter, he wanted to bring me on the show and he wanted to argue with me about Dick. I told him I'm not interested in having that argument. However, I will argue with you that you put words in people's mouths on the basis of this tweet where you did exactly that, where he took what I had said and he reframed it in a way that was not at all what I was trying to say. And so I said, let's argue about this tweet. So I went on his show to argue about that tweet.
What was the tweet?
I don't fucking remember. This is ages ago. But it was that I had said something where I chose my words very carefully, and he found an interpretation of it that was not what I meant.
Look, I do think that as a man who debates a lot, my biggest criticism, and this is a common thread for me, I say it all the time, is I find Destiny, he engages in the kind of debate that is kind of like, who can win with the information that you bring to the table? And look, that's fine. I don't care. But I do find
wait. It's the kind of debate.
Yes, where like he's trying to triumph over the other person in that particular debate. And like, I get it. What I like is when people try to be as charitable as possible to the other person, and he definitely does not do that.
No, he tries the opposite. He tries to find
and that's fine.
He makes your argument into the worst version of it that it could be, and most people don't catch it. Like, he'll say, you say something,
which doesn't mean he's factually wrong. It's just the particular lens.
Well, it can mean that he's factually wrong. Like, when in the case of my tweets, he literally reframed it as something that was not what I was saying. Like, I said one particular thing, and I only meant what I was saying. He responded by extrapolating from that something that he wants me to be saying, and said it back, and I said, that's not what I said. That's just literally not what I was saying. You have just reframed it into something else. And so I went on the show to argue just that point. And in service of arguing that point, he was trying to break down the exact semantics of what the words I said could potentially mean, what interpretations there could possibly be of those words, and to say that, oh, I'm not misrepresenting you if it could potentially mean this. And in order to do that, we had to get down to the bedrock of what each of us thinks winning a debate means. And because we had a disagreement about that, then, basically in order for me to prove that he was misrepresenting me, I had to present that winning a debate can mean more than one thing. And he disagreed with that, and a lot of people disagreed with my idea of what winning a debate could mean. But that had nothing to do with the argument I came there for. I came there just to say that he's putting words in my mouth, which he was doing demonstrably. But the debate becomes about something else because of him using exactly the tactics I'm talking about, which is to divert the conversation to be about something else.
You ever watch Thank You for Smoking? Because the whole point of Thank You for Smoking is that the idea is to win debates by framing things the way that you want them to be presented. Because when people are right about the facts, you got to change the conversation to something that you can win. Yes. And I think that's basically pro-debate.
And it's so obvious what he's doing because he will constantly drill down through anything you say until you call him out on something he can't respond to, and he immediately changes the subject. Like, he'll instantly make it about something else. He'll ask you a different question. He won't he'll divert. And it's like, when you see it happening, you just go, oh, okay, so you're a piece of shit and you're not worth talking to. Like, that's, oh, I get it. Like, you just want to be able to say you won an argument. You don't actually care about having a conversation.
I mean, that seems to be the currency he travels in.
I mean, all right, I'm gonna open myself up to criticism. I don't know what the like popular take on Destiny is. I like him. I think his arguments are generally pretty good, and I feel like what he's mostly doing is taking another person's argument and just like poking holes in it and like dismantling it and like showing how it doesn't work.
A lot of the people who Destiny argues with are retarded. And so, yes, he's gonna come off as just being right most of the time because he's arguing with fucking retarded people. Like, he's arguing with people who are just wrong about, who don't have any facts, whose position is completely unsubstantiated, who really don't know how to argue, and he's blowing those people out of the water, and that's obviously going to happen. And the reason he's got popularity is because of when he blew out JonTron, who came on and sounded like a fucking idiot because he didn't know what he was talking about. And like, people want that. They want it from Destiny because they want to be able to talk about how he bodied this celebrity, how he's fucking taking names. He's taking people to task. And like, yes, if you agree with his politics in general, it's going to be gratifying to watch him make a bunch of dumb people look even dumber. But like, the tactics he's using for that are just inherently obnoxious and faulty. And it's like, I don't care to watch somebody beat up on dumb people. Like, I probably agree with Destiny on most things he believes because he's pretty well researched. Like, he's trying to be correct, but like, he also says things like, I think conservatives are such a problem that I would endorse violence against them. And it's just like, okay, well, now you're fucking crazy,
That's really unnuanced.
I mean,
take
when
on
he
it.
said
literally
he must
said
secure
that. He said, I would support political or actual violence.
There are arguments for violence sometimes.
I disagree.
Ever?
Not necessarily never, but he was literally just talking about, I think that conservatives are just such a problem that we should have violence against them. Like, there was no circumstance
like
he was
all the
describing
time.
it under. He just said,
there are sometimes it's appropriate.
That's ridiculous to make.
It's not
that's
ridiculous
to frame as what he was saying.
Well, all right. Well, I mean, I'd have to hear the quote.
It's pretty damning the way he said it.
I mean, look, even if he literally said that, he is a live streamer who streams 24 hours. Like, would he today, like, agree even with the words that he said at that time? I mean, that's the sort of thing that, sure, at the time, maybe he said something bad, but does he even that's why you should ask people,
well, it's the
okay, you said this, do you still agree with this?
His personality is toxic. Yeah. It's that he himself is about being an asshole to people.
I mean, he would agree with that, I think.
And it's pretty funny because, like, it's funny to listen to people who knew about him before he became like a famous debater, because apparently he was basically driven out of the StarCraft community for just being a piece of shit. Like, people just
I can see why he would have trouble in like team sports and whatnot.
Yeah, because he was like a pro.
I didn't even hate the guy.
StarCraft player, but he didn't last long. He wasn't very good, and also everybody hated him. But
I was gonna say this morning I did finally get around to listening to the JonTron one. I'd never heard it before. Have you guys heard it?
Oh,
I heard parts of it, and then I was like,
I watched all of it.
It is fucking rough. It is a fucking yikes.
It is kind of a yikes.
Dude is fucking racist.
He kind of comes off as a white nationalist.
Yeah, a bit.
I mean, look, if someone presented you facts that you thought advocate, or that, that showed the racial demographic skew in a certain way, and you just thought they were true. I haven't listened to the whole thing, so I don't really know what else you said.
I mean, there's the facts, right? And then there's the way you argue them, right? Like,
sure.
Some things he said are just factually untrue. Like that he said that rich black people commit more crime than poor white people.
That's the one thing that I know he said in the discussion.
Yeah, there's that.
Like, if that was true, then fair enough. But if it's not true,
it's not.
Okay.
I mean, if that were a fact, it would be a remarkable thing.
Yeah,
that would really be cause for what's going on here.
Yeah,
but it's
absolutely.
not. It's made up. Mm-hmm. And then there's a part where he's like, oh yeah, crime rates among black people are really high in America. oh, you're trying to say that's just because of socioeconomic reasons. Well, look at the crime in Africa. And it's like, I mean, what? Like, what's that supposed to mean?
Well, he's making a racial point there, right? I mean, I don't. What is that? Is the crime rate bad in Africa? I don't actually know what that is implying.
I mean, I don't know either. But like, even if it were high, like, what would be the takeaway?
I don't think there's anything there that makes
that would be more
sense.
of like a poverty thing.
There were a couple other things, but like, there's one part where he talks about global elites, but like, I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt on that and assume that he wasn't thinking like Jews. He was just thinking like super rich people. Although he brings it, he like just kind of throws this like global elites term out there at like a weird moment. He says, and this one I'm gonna kind of just assume is weird wording too. There's a part where he talks about like it wouldn't. He said like Destiny asked him, like, would you be okay with, like, 100 million, like, Mexicans, like, suddenly emigrating to the United States all at once, assuming they all, like, perfectly integrated into our culture, like, perfectly. And JonTron he goes, like, yeah, I guess that would be okay. Just, it doesn't usually happen like that. Usually they have to, like, they come in slowly over a long period of time and integrate into the gene pool. And it's like, I'm sorry. What is... Like, just kind of, they'll mix in with the white people and, like, they'll become white. I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. People are weird about this, but, like, a Mexican culture is not identical to American culture. If you like American culture and don't want it to just disappear, it's not crazy to be like, no, I like things as they are.
It's just the phrasing of gene pool that is like, you know, like, are we concerned about their genes or just their culture?
I don't necessarily want to have a Destiny versus JonTron debate now,
sure,
but like
sure. Me neither.
American culture, right? Like people that move to the United States, they become Americans. Like, I mean,
are we going to act like American culture is just purely, you know, doesn't, because it does exist. It's definitely real and it's not identical to outside countries.
Well, sure, but like nowhere is culture identical to culture anywhere else, and cultures shift and merge.
American culture has been defined by immigration its whole existence.
I generally don't. I mean, I understand the emotional reasoning for like caring about the culture you grew up in or whatever, but like preserving culture is not that important. Like. In Mayan culture is completely gone. We just have a bunch of ruins.
Well, it's
and if Mayans were around today, they might be bummed about that.
The introduction of like new people into an area doesn't like erase the culture that exists.
But it changes it
currently.
Well, all right.
Well,
I'm just going to take.
But culture always changes.
That doesn't matter.
I'm going to make an extreme example.
It doesn't matter.
If you like the way something is, why would you want it to change?
Well, it will change no matter what.
Why add to that if you like how it is now?
Well, you can't avoid it.
But you cannot do it as fast as possible. You can do it slower than that.
Well, but why?
Because you like how things are. That's it.
No, Nate. Like, people who like the way things are don't decide to change it. It's just that things change around them and they have to change with it. Otherwise, they have to cordon themselves off and build walls and all that, and segregate themselves from everyone else.
But I mean, this is the question. It's this idea of magically adding 100 million Mexicans to the American population. Like, if I don't know, like what would happen in this example if like, am I going to genocide those people if they don't come in? I mean, maybe then that'd be different.
Whoa.
But
wait, what are you talking about?
The example that you said, like in the discussion where they said, like, would you just like, assuming that they integrated perfectly, would you accept, 100 million Mexican immigrants just into American culture? I mean, that would affect so many different things that who can say, like, let's say
no, because like the question is like, what if they just integrated perfectly into existing culture?
So they're not like a Mexican culture, they're American culture, just with the genes of Mexican people. Is that the question?
Well, yeah.
That's
what's wrong with that. Like there'll be a lot more.
So it's a purely racial question, not about culture.
Right. That's why JonTron's answer came off as so weird. That he's talking about them entering the gene pool as if that matters. Like it's like he's not saying, oh, it's the culture that's the problem. He's implying that just having the genetics is the problem, which is what makes it racist.
Yeah.
It was.
I don't know.
I mean,
do we know everything about every racial group? They're not identical.
They're
Pretty close. I agree.
Nate, just because they're not identical, it's if you are not okay with one of them, that is what racism is. Like, it doesn't matter that it, like, the fact that you're not accepting something that is different from you is what
you're saying the word
is.
"not okay" in a pretty loaded way. I mean, I don't know, like, nobody wants to have like the environment around them like be radically different.
No,
day to
we're not
day
talking about
and
the environment. We're talking about the genes. He specifically said they're entering the gene pool. So his concern is that like the white race, like your blood, like your lineage will be polluted by other races like integrating in and marrying. Like, he's not talking about culturally, he's talking about literally the genes of non-white people.
He's talking about like genetic. He's talking about like genetic like intermarriage and intermixing.
The implication there is that genes, like non-white genes, are inferior to white genes, and to believe that is what racism is.
You're adding the word inferior that I don't think is necessarily implied. If you like that,
even if you don't think it's inferior,
he didn't say
just
inferior.
To think that you, for any reason, do not want other races' genes to be mixed in with the white people in your country.
No,
is what racism is.
I don't think that's
not even
was,
true.
I mean, he was
What
saying.
do you mean it's not true?
Look, if take Sicily. Sicily has an identity. Let's say that we add the population of Sicily only in Chinese people to Sicily, that we just do that. Okay, Sicily is now changed. Is it okay to be like, damn, I mean, I thought the people of Sicily, like, they were pretty cool the way they were. I mean,
no, Nate.
I'm talking about genes. I'm talking about genetically. That's what I'm discussing right now.
So even though these Chinese people act the exact same way as the people in Sicily,
yeah,
the only difference is that they now have Chinese genes. If you're not okay with that, that is what racism is.
The idea that you're adding this not okay as in like think they're inferior or one can prefer a racial group in a context.
No. Okay. To prefer one race over another is what racism is. That's what it means.
I'm doing a TV commercial. I'm filming in front of like a very dark oak paneled wood panel.
Yes.
A person with black skin would be muddled into there. So
you know
what?
I
prefer a white person.
That's not the same thing as what we're talking. Like, yeah, in one specific context is different from like. Yeah, in that context, a white person will just pop off the background better. That's an aesthetic consideration. It's nothing to do with them as a human being.
As is the population of Sicily looking like Sicilians as opposed to half Chinese, half Sicilian.
How is that a pragmatic consideration?
It's not pragmatic at all. It's purely aesthetic.
Okay,
well,
it's not.
The example you were giving there was a pragmatic consideration.
There's a difference between aesthetic, like, okay. In the case, yeah, I mean, the pragmatism is the only difference.
You don't think models are chosen for aesthetic reasons when they're doing different shoots?
Nate, what the fuck? That's not even.
The difference
is
between
relevant.
the pragmatism and the non-pragmatism of the aesthetic consideration in this case. Like, in the case of the wooden door, like, it's not your fault that a black person would blend in with the door. Like, that's just the way that nature is, and you can't help it. So there's nothing racist about not doing something that doesn't make sense. In the case of wanting the population to look a certain way, if you want them to look like a certain race, that is what racism is.
If there was a button I could push to convert the race of every Chinese person to Mexican, I just wouldn't push it because, like, they seem to be doing fine.
Why would you push it? Like,
exactly.
What would be gained?
That makes sense.
But like, if you did push it, like, I mean,
this seems like pretty
bad?
steeped in like this sense of like you've grown up knowing that Chinese people from China look like Chinese people. If they were to change and then like, I don't know, like a plague hit China, all the Chinese people dead, and then Mexicans came in, and now Mexicans are Chinese people.
Well, okay, I mean that loads back in cultural issues.
It's weird and strange and different. You don't have like a a preference for one or the other, but it's just sort of like weirds you out.
There's no need to get into this. I'm not making a case that any race is better than any other. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, there are visual differences, and there's probably some genetic differences on some level too.
And to care about that is what racism is. Like, I'm not saying, I want you to understand, Nate, because I know that when we say racism, it sounds like I'm basically accusing you of baby murder. Like, I don't think racism is as bad as people make it out to be if it's not something you're actioning on, if it's just your feelings are racist. If you can keep that to yourself, go ahead and have racist thoughts. Just don't act on them. But, like, that is a racist thought to think like, I liked it better when everyone around me was white. Now that there's a bunch of brown people, I don't like it as much. That is racist. Like, regardless of what the consequences of that may be, whether you really think of that as like a heinous thing to think, you know, it is racist.
Like I was trying to say earlier, like this question.
Nothing about that necessarily implies inferiority.
It doesn't have to imply inferiority. All it implies is that you prefer one over the other. You just prefer it. And if you have a preference, that is racism. I think
what you're describing is the experience of every human being who's grown up in a particular community.
Yes, most people are racist. Everyone's a little bit racist. Haven't you seen Avenue Q? Like,
okay. So we're just taking the word racism and we're just expanding it to just like the average human, like feels that their particular
almost everybody
group
has some racism. Yes, like everybody has some.
If that's the definition you're using, fair enough.
It's not like
but
racism
Digi,
doesn't
you
mean
can't blame me.
hate crimes.
When you use the word racism, that's a very loaded word.
That doesn't mean that it's not bad, though. Like, it's not, like,
I think it's
crime.
neither necessarily bad nor good. It simply is.
Well, it's bad. It is bad. Right,
if somebody moves into a neighborhood where everybody else is a different race, they're going to feel a little, they're going to feel a little naturally and understandably unsure about stuff. It doesn't matter what like race it is in this situation. And the people who live there who are having like they see this new person, different race, they're gonna think, I don't know about this. Then it's unusual. That is just what it is.
Agreed.
But like over time, both of them will get used to one another, and he will just be a different race in a place, and it'll be fine.
I agree.
The thing that like I was trying to like pose a question is like if like a lot of people in the UK are very, very scared of like Muslims taking over the entire country and it's going to be a big old brown land and it's going to suck. Now,
there's been some terror attacks related to Muslim immigration, though.
Nate, you gotta get off the fucking intellectual dark web. It's fucking you up. I swear to God.
But I mean, that's literally true, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nate,
but
it's way overblown. It's way overblown.
Okay. But I mean, if you could have
it's
a demographic that didn't have any of that.
It's not that it doesn't happen. It's just that it, like, I mean, immigrant status is not that highly correlated with crime. Like, it's not really, except
that seems probably true.
So the immigration's not necessarily the problem.
I mean, well, if you had snapped your fingers and every person who had immigrated was Christian instead of Muslim, does that mean those attacks wouldn't have happened?
Well, I mean, maybe not like the specific things that happened might not have happened specifically in that way.
Maybe other bad things would have happened or something.
Maybe. I don't know.
Well, fair enough.
I lost my train of thought and I'm really annoyed. I haven't been able to say anything, so fuck it, let's move on.
No, shit. I wanted to hear your take.
Well, I can't remember what my take is. It's just sort of like I think deep down people is the same. This is my worldview.
What a hot
take.
My
worldview philosophy.
People is the same.
People is the same, and like stripped away from like the unsureness of like mixing with a culture that you don't understand. Given enough time, everybody can get along, and it's just
who's disagreeing?
It seems it's. Well, everybody who wants certain races to be not coming into, like, it's just... I don't know.
No, yeah.
I don't know from what angle I'm supposed to be going at this from. I just think that things stupid.
I mean, I think my take is that, all right, so you got like immigration, you got like I think this is the thing. Like you got like immigration from a lot of like Middle Eastern and Muslim countries into America, but especially into Europe, into parts of Europe. I think that like there's been crime committed by immigrants and refugees, but I think that like by and large, immigrants and refugees are like the victim of a lot more crime than they are the perpetrators of, like per capita. So,
well, that's not really, I mean, to the citizen who lives there currently, that's not, particularly relevant to their interests. It's worth considering from a humanitarian perspective, of course, but that doesn't really impact the question of, like, should they, immigrate more people or whatever.
Well, what are you saying?
I'm saying that from the perspective, if you've got a country, if they're deciding to, like, allow more people into the country, the question of, like, the suffering of those people when they get there isn't the concern of those people deciding whether immigration should happen or not. Their concern is, does this make the country better or worse for me?
That's like that's kind of the whole point of, like, allowing refugees into your country, right? Is that you want to alleviate their suffering.
Well, that's the debate.
That's true.
The debate is whether you care about that more.
I mean, Destiny also argues it from an economic perspective. Like I don't think he was always like this, but I think, like, at some point he became, like, fully, like, full open borders guy on the basis that, like, immigration is like just increasing the labor resource that's available to, like, industry. And it's like immigration is like an economic boom.
Yeah, I mean, frankly, I think that I think most problems would be solved with changes in the education system, because, like, the biggest thing that people fear with immigrants is that
changes.
They're coming in and taking the jobs of people who are already here because they'll do it for cheaper. And the bottom line is, like, that should be a good thing. It just should be that you can do jobs that they can't. Like, you should be, if you are a naturalized citizen who's gone through the education system, you should be trained for something that an illegal immigrant wouldn't be able to do because they haven't gone through that training, Or else, why wouldn't the corporations just use their labor if it's cheaper and they can do it just as well?
Well, here's the thing. That's, like, all these, like, low-skilled jobs, they're all going to get automated away.
That
soon.
Too, and that's why we're going to need that Yang Gang universal basic income, dog.
But that's not right now, though.
It's not right now, but, like, it's coming sooner or later. At some point, whether it's, like, 10 years or 50 years or 100 years down the line.
I mean, even a small change makes a huge difference, Like, even just automating one thing is going to have, millions of people do that thing.
And like, the first ones to go are gonna be, like, the unskilled, kind of jobs that, like, less educated immigrants, that the kind of people they're like, oh, they're taking our jobs. Like, those kind of people, the kind of jobs that they're supposedly taking are gonna get taken by the robots. This is
true. True.
Hence the bag.
McDonald's automizing and whatnot, doing the, all that business.
Yeah, and, like, self-driving car. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Uber, right? Uber is a nightmare, right? Uber is like the Uber is like the capitalist boogeyman. It is like there's no better example of a company that, like, simply exists off the back of exploitation of labor. Like, that's all it is. It, like, they don't do anything. They just have a fucking app, and then they have this whole fucking network of people that work for, like, bullshit rates. They make shit money.
Why do they do it if it's so bad?
Because fucking the economy sucks, Nate, and people are poor. Because we have a huge wealth gap in America.
Well, okay.
So they do that.
Well,
and they do this.
It's also just ignorance to how bad it is. Like, I don't think I think most people are just viewing it as, oh, I can make some extra money, without realizing the actual toll it takes. Because, like, the real problems with doing Uber is that, like, it will destroy your car, and, like, the amount you pay in gas and mileage and shit is gonna,
I'm just saying,
counterbalance what you paid.
Wait. Like Uber's bad now, but just wait until self-driving cars show up, and then suddenly they won't have to pay anyone. They won't even have employees, right? They won't, or not even employees, contractors, right? Independent contractors, like they're currently considered. So they don't have to give benefits to any of the people that make their money for them. They'll just like, no. They won't have it. They won't have any fucking costs. I mean, I guess they'll still have to pay for gas. They'll have to buy their cars.
This automation revolution, and if UBI was included, would probably solve illegal immigration as a problem if you couldn't get that universal basic income without being documented. because there would be no reason to come to America
well,
if there's no
there's no way you
work.
could get it if you were undocumented. There's no way you could
Right.
get it.
So it would just be like, hey, if you come to this country, you really don't have any opportunities except unless you are like able to, either become a naturalized citizen or have a more skilled job. I think that in itself would probably be a huge fix.
Maybe.
Well,
we'll have to see, I guess.
They might still, they might still want to come just because, like, yeah, maybe they're not getting the bag, but would just, people would just have like so much disposable income that maybe, there'd still just be a lot more money to be
charity
made.
going around, like probably more people who
more
could
more
take care of,
charity. I believe in the trickle up economics thing, right? So I think like if people had people have more money to spend, there's going to be more spending. Therefore, there's more money to be made by like an enterprising person who
economics is what it's meant to be called.
Is the opposite of trickle down? Is pump up?
That's how I learned it in middle school, anyway. But
I lately I've heard it called trickle up, but
like
whatever.
With a tire,
yeah, okay.
Like you're pumping the tire up.
Yeah,
filling
like
it.
you're pumping up the jams.
I have to piss and shit. We should go to voicemails.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I'm down. All right.
So I can piss and shit while listening.
Okay, well, I've got it right here. Let me see. Okay, this one is from I swear this message will give Ben a boner. That's the one. Okay, let's see what he's got to say. Go.
Okay, so my mother told me something that she was going to be doing with her current boyfriend that really made me think of Ben. The both of them are going to do what I would say is the peak boomer thing this Wednesday. They're going to go to a new Costco that's opening to celebrate it, like opening. But they're going to go the day before it is actually possible to purchase anything. Like they're literally going to browse the store and celebrate
Jesus
store
Christ
opening. Like, why? But I don't know. Like, it sort of just made me really think, like, wow.
We truly do live in a society.
I guess to be more serious about it, like, it just kind of made me think of, like, traditionalists and the plight that they're in, given the like post-modern,
I don't know what that's about.
Society that we're in, like they don't have any what do you call it? Any rituals or anything to particularly hold on to.
Oh, okay.
So
sure.
I don't know. I just found that interesting.
This kid's a fucking psychopath.
Dong.
This kid's got fucking brain problems. All right, forget everything. Digi, right? You and me were talking, I think yesterday, about how kids these days don't understand. They think that we're the boomers. We're only the meme boomers.
Yeah.
These people he's talking about, these are the real enemy.
Yeah,
these are the real boomer. We have to keep, like, you got it, guys. You got to stay focused.
Yes.
Stay focused on the real boomers. Don't let them fucking smoke screen into thinking it's us. We're not your enemy. They're your enemy.
Make fun of us millennials once the boomers are dead and gone. But for now, we have to focus on the fact that the actual boomers are still around and are still the problem.
Yeah. In spite of everything, they're still here. Don't lose sight of the real enemy. We're your allies.
Yeah, you can tell we're your allies because he just made
where
an Undertale reference on the sly in the middle of his thing. What could be more Zoomer than an Undertale reference? Come on, guys. We're pandering to the kids. We're Pokemon going to the polls.
Did you watch the Teen CP episode where the baby boomers they just read this news article or this tweet where baby boomers were being given like university courses for like $5 a credit?
Yeah. I've seen that going around.
So they could just wander around campus and learn and then die immediately afterwards.
Yeah.
Is the purpose of this for like new jobs?
And they thought,
no, it's just like, oh, wouldn't it be nice if these old people could, have the thing that all the young people actually need?
Could just fucking occupy themselves with some shit.
I see.
That's pretty much what it is. So I'm assuming that on the Teen CP they read this article and thought they were like talking about us, talking about like
Well,
30-year-olds.
No, they did not.
There was a little video, and there were like very old, very sleepy men.
Well, that's how
it
Zoomers
was
view
very
us. The boomers to them.
Yeah, you know,
I've seen.
I
I've
wouldn't be
seen them,
surprised
yeah.
if they didn't make the distinction.
Like I can imagine them reading that, and like maybe if they weren't watching the video, if they just read it in text form, like they would picture me. Like it would be me on that campus.
Yeah, I'd imagine
on
so.
on death's door.
All right, let's go to our next one here. We've only got 3, by the way, because there were actually very few submissions, and most of them were bad, but there's a couple that are funny. And I'll just say now, before I forget, that we got one voicemail from Quality Women. Quality Women called in. Buddy, you rambled too long. Some of the details were interesting, but like you bored me to tears, so work on it. But the gist was that he did fuck the MILF, but he deeply regretted it. And it got like weirdly relationship-y, I think. And it was like,
wait, how old did he say she was?
I think he said
70.
she was 40, I think.
Okay.
Or maybe 50.
Right.
I don't know. It might have been older than that.
I think I remember feeling like that was like a little too old to be cool anymore.
He said that like she was a very weird person to be around, and she would just like stare off into the distance. It makes me like a person.
Oh my god, did she have fucking dementia?
I don't know, maybe. Fucking boomers.
Fucking boomers, dude. He's literally fucking boomers. Yeah. Hi hoof hippo.
I feel like look, I'm not trying to judge anybody, but like if you're like 40 to 50, you're on like an
you should
app,
just
and you're fucking
die.
like
you should
a 25-year-old.
Die.
Like a 20-year-old or a 25-year-old. I'm not trying to say you're bad, you can't do that. It's just like I think that speaks to like what you've been able to accomplish with your life. Like fucking like some young stud, if you're like a MILF, I get it. That's fine. Hey man, who can judge? Do whatever you want.
Okay.
But it's like, is this like it sounds like she's pursuing a relationship with this guy. Shouldn't you be pursuing like some like, you know, self-made millionaire who's like spinning all these plates and has his shit together and will, you know,
well, no, because that's a capitalist dog, and who would want? He's a dog. He's a dog.
Yeah, a damn dog.
A damn dog.
Thanks, Grace.
Thanks.
Okay, well, whatever.
Rip,
Quality Women.
Rip Grace.
I'm just gonna shit on you again. There's these guys who call in who think that we're like so fascinated with their story that we'll definitely play their voicemail.
Oh.
It still has to be entertaining, or I'm not gonna play it.
Can I?
Yeah.
All right.
Go.
This is fucking stupid, but I want to do it anyway. That just reminds me. Okay, there's one Destiny debate. It is debate with a female Trump supporter, right?
Okay.
And it is so incredible. It's like 3 hours long, and she
What if he grabs you by the pussy? Got him.
Yeah, no.
Good one, Destiny.
That's right. But like, okay, she's like a junior professor or something. She has a PhD in like some kind of like social psychology or something. And she doesn't understand like the difference between anecdotal evidence and statistical evidence, despite supposedly like doing this for a living. Whatever. I see. So she's really dumb. But like she for all kinds of reasons. I won't go into it. But she comes in and like she's looking at the chat. She's getting real nervous at the chat. She's saying like, oh no, like, oh, your chat says they're gonna dox me. Oh, I knew this was gonna happen. I knew I was gonna get doxxed. Your chat says he's gonna dox me. But she keeps going, and then over the course of the whole thing, she keeps fucking she says what state she's from. She says like what school she teaches at. She says like she says like she's like, oh yeah, when I was a kid, you know, I knew a girl. I won't say her name, right? But she raped a boy. The boy's name was Trevor. The girl's name was Marianne, right? She raped this boy, and then he had to pay for her kid or something. Like this is her anecdote story that's supposed to prove that men aren't like females aren't oppressed in society or something. Okay. And it's just really fucking great. It's really great, and she's awful. Okay, that's all. That's it. I just wanted to tell her.
I guess we really did make Donald Trump again. Okay, let's move on.
Oh God, I'm just mad. I'm mad thinking about this person.
Okay, well, let's calm that with a nice soothing voice from our friend I'm English. Okay, go.
Oh, hello. I'm an Englishman.
Hello.
And I attended the RFCK London event I love the taste of cock
Sick.
in my mouth. Oh, yes.
Damn.
Oh, I did
Alright.
love seeing the chaps and buddies and my pals over in London the other week. Yes. I can't believe it. It was such a good time. Yes. Pish
Okay.
posh.
Dude.
Get me some crumpets and buttered toast, Mum.
Buttered toast?
I'm English.
So
I bet
all
that
right.
guy sucked
So I
dick
don't
in
know.
London and France.
So I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but like clear, like is this what we've come to? Is this the quality? This is the quality of the voicemail that makes it onto the show.
I thought that was
What-
hilarious.
Do we
Ben,
not?
we're skimming the bottom of the barrel
Do we not live in a
here.
society?
I guess we don't.
I guess
not.
fucking. Oh god, what was his name?
Hey,
What was
I
the
like
guy?
that guy. He
who said that
sucks
we live in a
cocks and doesn't
society?
afraid of anything.
Who was the
Agree.
Who was the guy who said we live in a society just a minute ago? Like 5
that
minutes
was
ago.
that was his long name. I swear this message will give Ben a boner.
Yeah, well, I guess
something like
he was
that.
wrong. I guess his thesis was wrong. Okay.
All right. Well, the good news is we've only got one more. Bottom of the barrel cast. This is from Koji-sama, apparently. Okay. 46 seconds. Maybe I'll let people know the time so they know how long they have to endure it. But okay, here you go. Go, Koji. What do you got?
I'm a pretty hydrated guy, so
Mhm.
about every night around 3 a.m. as I'm sleeping, I wake up and I have to go pee. And the other night, I did so. I went down and I went to the restroom. I didn't turn the light on because my eyes would be disturbed by it. And my dad, the doorknob to the bathroom, you can pick it with a clothes hanger. So he did that, and he got in there.
Okay.
He turned the light on, and he saw me. And I was sitting
the light
down
was
to
on?
pee because it's 3 a.m. right? Right, guys?
Yeah,
Hell
right.
yeah.
The next day, he bullied me for it, and I just want to know: do you guys think that's an important part of being a man, being standing up? Because I still do, but sometimes I'm just in the mood to sit down. What do you guys think?
That is a vital part of being a man, and you are not a man for sitting down
as
when you
a man
pee.
you ever sit down to pee, I would advise you to, once you're done, turn around, dunk your head into the pee toilet, and hold it there until you don't breathe anymore.
Yeah.
Is my advice.
Hard agree.
I mean, I feel like it generates a certain imagery of what he's like if the sitting down is worth the time that it takes to pee, because you're never peeing for that long. Like sitting down would feel like a hassle.
Yeah.
The light was off. The dad came in, picked the lock, and turned on the light. He was peeing in the dark because he feels shame. He feels shame for what he's done. If the light was on,
the reason that he was sitting down is because the light was off, because he wouldn't be able to aim. So he's thinking, "Oh, I'll just sit."
Well, why
turn
didn't-
on the
right,
light.
yeah, why didn't you turn on the
Because he said
light?
it would disturb his eyes if he turned. I understand the logic
Oh,
of what this
fuck
guy's
you.
doing, but I wouldn't do it.
Look, it's way funnier to just stumble around in the dark and pee on something.
I would just turn the fucking light
okay.
on and
That's
just
true.
through my bleary, damaged eyes, try to aim my fucking flaccid
Yeah.
tiny
Yeah,
cock.
I mean, getting blinded with light when you're used to the dark is a unique feeling that I don't feel that often.
Better
and
yet-
when I have an opportunity, I may as well. May as well blind
Put a fucking
myself.
nightlight in your bathroom.
That's a good idea. That's a
Well,
good
I
idea.
mean that would have taken pre-planning, all right. Like if the ship has
True.
sailed on that, right? Like we've got to
I'm
deal
just saying,
with
you'll
the
never
world
have to sit to pee
as we
in
live
the
in it.
future if you just put a nightlight in your bathroom.
That's true. Okay, but the real question.
Yeah, maybe he can take something valuable away from this experience.
True. Okay, but the real question is it a vital part of being a man to stand while you pee? And what's the answer to that question?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I will say
definitionally.
that one of the advantages is that you get the option. So, you don't necessarily have to close yourself off to either one. However, I do think it is a vital part of being a man that you do get to stand while you pee. And, I just can't imagine wanting to sit because it's so much more convenient.
Yeah.
And cool to stand
guys,
and to make all that noise. And you can aim your piss at the edge of the seat so you don't make noise if you want,
I think you have just
It would
insulted.
just feel weird.
You have insulted and alienated our diverse and expansive female to male trans audience by making this a male
They can
necessity.
stand to pee if they want.
Yeah, they can let it flow.
They
Just
can-
let it flow,
can- they
guys.
They can get a funnel.
I've seen illustrations of girls standing to pee.
I mean,
I think,
in,
and I can
I've seen it
extrapolate
done.
from that it can be done. Probably there's some technique involved.
I mean, I've seen the girls
Probably
literally
true.
can just stand and pee.
Well, it's about controlling the stream. I mean, you're
Yeah,
gonna
but
have a
it goes
trouble with the
straight
urinal.
down. Like I would think it would be easier for them actually, because all they have to do is just spread their legs over the toilet and go. As a guy, the stream goes.
straight,
So they're
does
gonna
it go
s-
straight
but-
down?
Yeah, just go
what
straight
if,
down.
What if? All right, let me just hypothetical. All right, look, I'm not
Okay.
trying to trigger anyone here. I'm just thinking out. I'm just asking questions. What if, right? They kind of reach down to their pubis mons, right, and apply some
Right.
pressure onto the skin, and just kind of like pull up, so that like the sort of general
to direct the stream.
yeah, the sort of all the skin in that area is sort of pulled up, and yeah, would that like direct the stream?
I don't.
Would that
need to
direct
it? I'm
would that
pretty sure
direct
it
the
just
stream
goes straight
forward?
down.
No,
that
that's
must
what I
be
mean.
less-
That's what I mean. Can you pull the skin up to direct the stream forward so you can pee forward into the
Do you-
toilet from your girl? From
surely one can simply
from
angle their
from your girl
pelvis,
urethra,
right?
aka the girl urethra.
I'm
It's a
just saying
male
you don't
urethra
even
in this
need
case,
to
though,
angle
in
it
the-
forward because you can just spread your legs a little farther and go
Yeah,
around.
you-
the
You're
toilet.
gonna
stand-
tell me that you're gonna stand with your legs fucking spread eagled, standing directly over the bowl?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's
why
even
not?
the
Are you
point?
a-
You might as well just sit
I-
at that
yeah.
point.
That
that's
sounds
right.
In fact, I'm
easier
gonna
than
do that.
sitting, personally.
I'm gonna do
What?
that. I'm gonna do that. Stand over the toilet and pee directly onto the wall.
Here's why. No, you'd have to fucking to do this. Digi, I'm gonna tell you why you're a fucking moron. All right, to do this, you would have to pull your pants all the way down, right, like to your ankles, to do
Okay,
this, and
fair.
then and then you
True,
couldn't
true.
move over the toilet because the
Yeah, you'd have to
pants,
take it
the
off
pants,
completely.
The pants stretched between your ankles would catch on the toilet,
right.
and you would have to take your pants completely off.
Wait, okay,
And
you
this
could do
is-
some sort of squatting position where you angle your butt back while standing in front of the toilet.
I mean,
so
you
your
don't have to
your
take
your
your pants
your,
off,
but
your
then you
pubis
can't. But then you
mons
can't
is
see.
over the toilet.
What would you be looking? What would you be looking?
I guess.
Looking
All right.
through your legs
You
behind
have to take off your shoe, though. You have to take off the shoe
looking
for
through
this.
your legs behind you. Like, come on, that's just not realistic.
Okay. We're never gonna get to a conclusion here. We need evidence. We need people in the PCP
We need evidence.
viewer base.
We need photographic evidence.
Women,
Yeah.
please try this. Document the results and get back to us. Leave a comment.
Mhm.
Well,
and then
give
we'll
us a
discuss it
voicemail.
further.
Am I the only one who, when I take
Send
a
us
shit,
a voicemail of you peeing, unless you're
Just-
underage. In which case, just make sure you don't say
Alright.
it, and then we won't.
am I the
and then we're
Then
not
won't be an
legally
issue.
liable.
am
for
I the only
anything.
one who, when I take a shit, removes all of my clothes completely?
Yes,
Well,
I do that. I
Well,
do that.
On some
if
occasions,
I
I'll do
will,
that, I
I
guess.
will if it's like hot and like I'm sweaty or something,
Yeah,
but not
yeah.
just like as a matter of course, like as
Well-
part of the shitting process.
If
Okay,
it's
agreed.
hot, like usually I like to squat on the toilet bowl, so I need to take my pants, my trousers, shoes, socks off. But also I definitely do not do this in public because the floor in a public bathroom is just gross, and I don't want any of my clothes on it. So
Yeah. Or the nightmare of someone opening the stall somehow while you're in there in
Oh,
public.
yeah.
I mean,
Here's-
that's
Here's
it'd be over for
here's
you.
a here's
in
a
that
question. Here's a
situation.
question. I've been called out on this. Like people have bullied me for this lately,
Okay.
and I need validation. All right, so you're taking a shit, right? You're done. And it's time to wipe, right? The time has come. Do you wipe still sitting on the bowl? Like, are you still on the bowl, or do you like?
No, you stand up. You
I
stand
stand
up.
up,
I
but
stand
up.
I've
Yeah.
heard
Yeah.
that it's literally 50-50. It's like one of those things
Well,
that
then
people
that's
are
ridiculous.
all of us.
50-50 on.
I don't stand all the way up, but like I stand up like enough, like I'm off the bowl. Like my knees are still bent. Like I'm not like fully
Yeah,
up.
obviously.
Yeah, but like I
Yeah.
stand.
Yeah, I stand.
Okay.
How could you? What are you gonna reach into the fucking bowl next to your
Apparently,
shit
half
and
of everyone
wipe?
does that. Literally,
People
it's
have-
50-50.
I don't.
Yeah.
That's insane.
People have been telling me that I'm weird because I stand, and like I think that's insane.
Same.
Well, look, we all
well,
seem to be
which
in agreement
50?
on this,
Is it
right?
is it like fat people who can't be bothered, who
I have
can't
no
stand?
idea.
Like
I've just
is
heard
that
the statistic
Maybe.
that it's
Maybe there's a
like a
physiological
perfect half and
difference.
half.
Yeah, I don't know.
Personally, I'm a stander. All
I
right,
can't
well,
even
let's go
imagine
full
that.
dick show now and ask you the other question.
Uh-huh.
Over the waistband or through the fly for pissing?
depends on the trousers I'm
mostly
wearing.
through the fly.
Through the fly. Through the
Because
fly.
I'm
Mostly.
always over the
Mostly.
waistband, no matter what.
Well, I think isn't that because you wear pajama
That
pants and you don't have a
contributes
fly?
a lot. Well, they
That-
do.
that's an
all my
issue,
pants
yeah,
have a fly.
yeah.
I won't wear pants with no fly, except for these ninja pants I'm wearing
Okay.
right now. But But no, I mean, yeah, going over the waistband is definitely easier in pajama pants. But even in just regular shorts, I'll just undo the top button and go over the waist.
Wait,
Yeah,
but
with shorts, I'll kinda
if you
do that.
undo the top button, well, I mean, do you unzip?
No.
You have to.
Yeah, like
Just go
surely
over.
you're undoing the top button.
Wait,
and
wait.
then,
What about with jeans?
Wait, so you're saying that you undo the top button
Yes.
and then you don't unzip the fly, you just pull it
Yes.
down.
What? On jeans?
I don't wear
on
jeans.
jeans?
We're talking about shorts.
Well, if the fabric is stretchy, then it doesn't matter, I guess.
I mean, I would do this on any because to me, if you go through the fly, you have to hold your cock while you pee. If you go over the waistband, you just let it rest on the waistband and you don't have to touch your cock.
I mean,
I suppose.
I mean, I hold my dick.
I
either
hold it
way.
every time just to make sure I'm, getting everything
you
going the right
I
direction.
I used like the waistband of the underwear to like prop up my dick so that it shoots out.
Like none of the pants or shorts that I own are like would be comfortable to like pull down and go over the waistband. I basically don't have a choice. And then so even if I'm wearing like pajama pants, like I still go through the fly. Maybe that's just out of habit because I do it in every other pants that I wear.
I never really like going through the fly, mostly because when I do, it's because there's a lot of pants have zips, and the zips usually get me, and I just rather would avoid that.
First of all, terrified of the zipper getting my cock.
Not...
And second of all, I don't want to have to like reach through the fucking steamy jungle of my salty nuts to fucking get my dick out, you know.
Why do you have to reach
Why would you
through
reach
your
through your
nuts
nuts?
to get to your dick?
I mean, like,
Digi? What the fuck does
when
that mean?
You have to open up the fly in your underwear where it's like the multiple doors.
How, like...
I mean, I don't wear boxers. I wear boxer briefs. So
multiple doors. Oh wait, I see. Like you got to go through the first fly and then the boxers.
Yeah, the boxers have like the double fucking.
Yeah.
You know, it's like 2 layers over your cock, and like that area is fucking
then, like, maybe
sweaty. All right.
And maybe your boxers have kind of twisted, so like you got to go through like a fucking zigzag, right? Like you got to go through the fly and then like reach over to find the other one and then pull it over to the whole
Digi, you wear pajama pants a lot. Okay, you wear boxer briefs. You probably don't have this. I wear boxers mostly. There have been incidents where I rarely go out wearing like pajama pants, but I have done it before, and they have like the open fly, like without even a button. There have been incidents when I'm out in public, my dick finds its way through both my boxers.
That's another reason I don't wear boxers,
straight up out
because of the fact that yes, I wear.
That's fair.
I wear
That's
only
fair.
pajama pants, and yeah, if I was wearing boxers, my dick would slip out all the fucking time. Like it would be constant. Like
it's happened
if
to
you
me.
wear pajama
It's a
pants
nightmare.
without underwear underneath, your dick will just be out. There is no
100%,
100%.
Okay, wait.
That's fair.
What is the difference between boxers and then like boxers that are not as big as other? Is it like boxer briefs and then
boxer
briefs?
briefs are they don't have like a button up fly. Like boxers have a button up fly just like regular like pajama pants.
True.
Do. So
true.
Okay.
And they're much more loose,
and they're
obviously.
super
Oh,
loose
I have
legs.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's what
I have. I don't have those. I have like an in between of briefs and
that would be
boxers or whatever
briefs,
they're
which is
called.
what I wear as well.
Boxer briefs are impossible to get your dick
That's
through the flap.
exactly
That's
why
why
I
I
go
pulled out.
It's
over the waistband.
impossible. It
I think
can't
we've
be
cracked
done.
the code on
It's never been done in the history of humanity.
I like them. I like to be snug.
That's fair. That's fair. I don't know. I've always worn boxers, and I just feel like I always will.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really just
I don't
comes
know.
down to what you grew up wearing. Like, my dad wore boxer briefs.
Yeah, I think
that's
so.
what we had. You know, like I share
Mhm.
in my family. Like all the boys just kind of shared like a pool of boxer briefs. Like, you know, there was not
Sure,
like
sure.
denominated like whose or which. It's just like everybody's wearing them because we're all the same size.
You know, at some point, I was doing a load of laundry. I don't know if they were mine or like, I don't know, Ben somehow it absorbed into my collection, or if it's just someone else's.
My
but at some
boxers
point in
just
my
like
life,
quantum tunneled over. Oh wait, no, was this when we lived at parents' house?
well, I don't even remember when. At some point in my history, and I feel like it could have been from a complete stranger, one pair of boxer briefs entered my rotation of underwear, and I do occasionally wear
Was
that.
it
I don't know
after
where
I
it came
stayed at
from,
your house?
but it was like freshly from a laundry. I don't think so. It was before that. So I have one pair of boxer briefs I will wear on occasion, and I'm not a fan. Not a fan.
Digi, do you have my slime corp tee by any chance?
I don't think so.
Because I don't know. It's like gone, and I can't find it. I have no idea where it could have been, and I thought like maybe did I wear it to your house one time and leave it there?
I probably would have
But I
found
don't
it when
know.
we were packing, so I would say no.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this discussion has run its course,
Yep.
and we are out of things to say clearly, so let's wrap it up, lads. PCP, thanks for the money, patreon.com/theprocrastinators. $1, Patreon Discord, $5, bonus episodes. I think bonus episode 28 will be out shortly after you hear this. We need to record it soon. What else we got? At TP Crastinators, fucking Twitter, follow us. SpeakPipe, leave us more voicemails. We need more voicemails. Keep them coming, people. There were slim pickings this week. Link below to the SpeakPipe.
Very soon, most of us will be at BronyCon August 1st to August 4th.
A couple days after you hear this, we'll be at BronyCon before the next PCB episode comes out.
Before this, I mean, when this episode comes out,
think so.
I will be at Otakon. So if you're hearing this at Otakon for some reason, I'm there too.
Hey, quick question. How fun.
Wait a minute.
Most
wait
of
a
us
minute.
will be...
Wait, is it?
Yeah.
Is it like this
What?
Thursday?
No.
No, it's the next Thursday. Next Thursday.
Oh, okay. Oh, God. Phew. Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, you got a whole week and a bit.
The PCP, we're all going to be at BronyCon except Digi. Well, a couple people won't, but like a bunch of us will be there. A lot of the regulars here will be at BronyCon. How do we do a PCP episode if we're all at BronyCon? I'm not going to have my computer.
We could like live stream it from a phone.
Like on Friday. Well, but that's like the next, because it happens as like a delay, you know? So we have to like live stream it the following
maybe
Friday.
we could
Surely one of you's bringing a laptop, right? Like,
I mean, I wasn't planning on it. I don't know. I mean, we'll have to think about this at least a little bit.
We could just live stream it from a phone.
But that doesn't work because we film on Sunday.
hold on,
That's
real
what's
quick.
together.
Well, we just
Before you
save
continue,
that
Gibbon,
episode and release that the
are
next
you
week.
bringing a laptop? Gibbontake.
I should be. I probably will have space. I don't know whether I'm going to use it that much, but yeah.
Okay, sounds like we need to lock this down if in some capacity.
I just can't imagine traveling without a laptop. I don't know why anybody would
Well,
not have
I
a
mean-
laptop.
I got my phone. What do I need?
Well, is anyone? I mean, nobody's going to be bringing like a digital camera, right? Like the only camera we're going to have available is a phone camera.
Unless
assume.
you have a laptop with a
Probably.
built-in camera or just like a webcam. I don't know. Every time I
Well,
went
you
to
know what?
BronyCon,
Look,
I
we
had
can get into all
every
this
time I went to
later.
You know
BronyCon,
what
I had
we'll do?
all
Yeah.
of my mic equipment, my computer, like the full setup. Like I would come with everything and never use any of it because we never had time.
Lol. Yeah, I remember that.
All right, like let's meeting place, the BronyCon orgy. We'll live
Yeah.
stream from there.
We'll
That'll
live
be-
stream the
That's- okay, that sounds
BronyCon
good.
orgy. Yes.
Also,
That'll be.
wait,
that'll
are
be-
none of y'all bringing like cameras for vlogging? Like, couldn't you just film it on that?
I'm bringing a camera for vlogging, the small
Oh
one.
wait, we've got the GoPros, dude.
We could wear GoPros on our heads during the orgy.
I mean,
you know?
true. I'm bringing my phone. What do I need a GoPro for?
Dude,
My phone is all the
shit,
video
God,
camera I
I gotta
need.
fucking. Dude, we should. Okay, we all gotta bring our fucking GoPro. I mean, I'm gonna bring mine.
I mean, look, okay, we can
Yeah,
talk about
right.
this and discuss
I
things.
forgot
whatever.
I even have that. Okay.
I got mine kicking around. All right, but that's it, everybody. Thanks for being here. We'll see you later. SpeakPipe, Patreon, appreciate it. Twitter, you know what to do. Links below. Thanks for being here. See you next week. Bye.
Yeah. Bye. Yeah. I'm supposed to